Ra- We'll be start. Everyone.
No.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to everybody. I know only one person. We have been asked to keep our mic mute, that's why we couldn't reach you back. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, you're audible, yes.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
We are waiting for a few more minutes and we'll start shortly. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ayushi Dhawan from Quality Council of India, and I extend a warm welcome to everyone present for today's.
Some echo. Echo is.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
No, you're muted, Ayushi.
Right.
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah.
Right. So, I extend a warm welcome to everyone present for today's session on fisheries. Udyog Manthan is a marathon of focused sector-specific webinars on promoting quality and productivity in Indian industry. It is an initiative of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, supported by Quality Council of India, National Productivity Council, Bureau of Indian Standards, and industry chambers like CII, PICI, and ASSOCHAM. These webinars aim to draw in best practices and experiences of sector and industry experts to identify challenges related to quality and productivity which are faced by Indian industry, with a view to solving them and ultimately Atmanirbhar Bharat. Before we begin, the following is requested to everyone. So all the participants are requested to turn off their video and stay muted till the end of the discussion to avoid any ambient noise. A participant may unmute only when prompted to ask a question. Then alternatively, a participant may also write their question, if any, in the chat box, which will be announced by the moderator or chat monitor. The speakers are also requested to switch on their camera while they speak. With this, I am pleased to introduce the moderator for this session, Dr. Udyog Manthan. Dr. Udyog Manthan has been serving FAO for 2 decades, of which 1 decade was in Rome as Senior Fisheries Officer, leading a team on fish quality and safety. During this period, he was representing FAO and providing scientific advice to Codex Alimentarius Commission, which is the international standard setting body. Before joining FAO, he was in the academic field and was the research of Karnataka Veterinary and Animal and Fisheries Sciences University. After retirement from FAO, he is serving on Scientific Committee of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which is FSSAI, and as international consultant for FAO, Asian Development Bank, and International Trade Center of United Nations. Hand over to Dr. Sagar to take forward this.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome for this webinar. So this webinar on fisheries industries under the series Udyog Manthan is very appropriate at a time when India is making a mark globally as a major food producing and exporting nation. According to the FAO, the state of world fisheries and aquaculture, India is the second largest aquaculture producer in the world, 4th largest producer of capture fish, 4th largest seafood exporter. And India is producing more fish by aquaculture, that is 57%, higher than the global average, which is good from ecological and conservation perspective. All these have been possible because of the enabling policies of the government and untiring efforts of a proactive industry, always willing to find innovative ways of overcoming problems. Now, though we are doing well and the global demand for fish is increasing and we need to produce more, and despite our reputation as a major fish producing country, our record as a fish consumer is rather low. Compared to the global average of 20, we are less than 7. So we need to produce more fish to feed the poor people and also to provide nutrition and also for global supplies. Now, No doubt, fisheries sector has made significant contribution in earning foreign exchange, but we also import items required for aquaculture, feeds and equipments. We need to discuss how we can reduce imports under the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we have a very eminent panel of speakers, highly experienced in the field, to explain the challenges and opportunities in the area. Now, to set the scene for discussion, we have none other than the Joint Secretary of Fisheries to explain to us the government policies and programs, Dr. Balaji, IAS. So he is not only a very well-known administrator, but also a scientist. He holds a PhD in microbiology. And he is holding IAS in Assam Meghalaya cadre, and after serving the state for several years in different ministries, he has come to the center, and now he is in charge of marine fisheries. So I hand over to Dr. Balaji for setting the stage. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Udyog Manthan, for your kind words. I first I extend my wishes to the DPIIT for organizing this Udyog Manthan program, and especially as a focus for the fisheries sector. I welcome all the participants today, the experts, the scientists, the industry who are participating today in this particular program. As already my colleague Mr. Karnasagar has already said, that the sector has shown some good results in last few years, I should say, and it provides livelihood to around 2.8 crores population at the primary level and several lakhs along the value chain. And if I have to take a cue from also today in the meeting, the sector shrimp itself, one of the discussions he told me that it provides almost direct, indirect employment to more than rather 50 lakh people are involved in the shrimp sector itself. So the huge opportunity lies in this sector as far as the entrepreneurship growth, as far as the growth of the sector. But at the same time, we should be mindful that we are as a marine side, we have a lot of challenges. While the marine side has stagnated, in fact, I should say, for last 20 odd years, as this is the scenario across the globe. And as the Sophia report of last Sophia report, and as well as already my colleague was just saying, the aquaculture has done extreme in the world, including India. And we stand very high. In fact, we are the largest cultured shrimp producing and exporting country. And we have grown at an impressive average of 10 plus, and around annual average of around 10% in the sector for the 5 years from 2014-15 to 2018-19. And also we have that this is exactly double what we have grown between 2009-10 and 13-14. That 5 years to 5 years, if we do a comparison, that was 5.27. This was 10.88. But there is also a challenge that we require governmental support to the sector, as because traditionally it is viewed that the governmental support in the sector has been suboptimal. The current government has taken several initiatives realizing this need. In fact, if you look from last 2014 now, the last 6 years, almost an investment to the tune of 32,000 crores have been rolled out. So that is what, as against a single digit, rather less than around 5,000, 3,000 crores odd in the rest previous 2014 from since 1950s, if you can compare the central allocation I am talking of. And that if you look at the states also had done some work, but still we feel that the states contribution is also suboptimal. In fact, last 2-3 years, the states are quite picking up in their allocation of resources for this sector, as because maybe the sector has done extremely well. We produced 142 lakh tons of fish in 1920. And in fact, I should say that because if you look at the cumulative fish production in the last 6 years, it stands at around 729 lakh tons, as against 511 lakh tons in the same period for 6 years before, 8-9 to 13-14, there is a 43% increase. There is a 87% increase in the cumulative incremental fish produced. Almost 46 to 48 lakhs tons of fish was produced in the last 6 years in incremental fish, as against 25 lakhs. In fact, if you look at the last 2 decades, while in the first 14 years, if the total around 88 lakh tons of fish has been added in last 2 decades to the global fish, it's an incremental value I'm talking of. So at least 46 to 48 lakhs has come in the last 6 years. So the lot of things have happened, and aquaculture, if you look at 508 lakh tons was added in last 6 years as against 317 lakh tons, and culture shrimp production is 36 lakh tons as against 12 lakh tons in the same period. So a 300% increase. So if you look at that, the government in the last few years have invested around 4997 crores in Blue Revolution scheme, 7522 crores in infrastructure development fund. And you are aware that recently the 20,050 crore, the highest ever investment, has come up in the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, all together put to around 32,000 crores. We are also working on a World Bank scheme, which are around 12-30,000 crores, which are in the various stages of finalization. Perhaps with all these investments, we look around 40-45,000 crores investment from the central government initiatives. But at the same time, the states are also adding. I foresee around 20,000 crores to come from the state government side, from their own resources in the entire country. So it's a huge investment likely to flow. When we sometimes say we are going to invest 50,000 crores, this is how we are looking at. So we created a new Ministry of Fisheries Animal Husbandry Dairy in 2019. We are aware of that, and a separate department of the fisheries for the focused development of the sector. And we came out with the National Marine Fishery Policy in 2017. Also, we have drafted a new comprehensive national fisheries policy, 2020, which is in public domain. I think the distinguished panel members may like to look at it. We have time. Perhaps 17th was the last date, rather yesterday was the last date. Still, if you want to send any comments, I'll be happy to take them on board. We require, what we foresee as a requirement in the sector is some enabling legislations in the EEZ as well as the ICs, so that we can diversify our marine fishing activities. We have made some initiatives as far as deep sea fishing is concerned, and we require there some to the traditional fisher communities. And we require a robust aquaculture health management and disease management, what we see as a priority for a pan-India basis, because the disease doesn't see the boundaries. So it is important to have a pan-India law. That's what we are looking at. Aquaculture, one major demand was the aquaculture should be given priority or equivalence to agriculture as far as insurance, credit guarantee and incentives. I should thank the Andhra government. They have decreased the par tariffs to 100 rupees 50 paisa. And we also took up with the several states and asking my honorable minister wrote to all the states, asking them to rationalize, rather give the par incentives for the aquaculture sector, fisheries and aquaculture sector. Odisha has some work, I'm told. Some work has also done from Maharashtra and rather Karnataka, that side. But there is a long way to go. This is one reform which we are looking at, which will really help the sector and infuse investments. One serious area is again a technology infusion, which is one area which we require for the productive utilization of the resources, for the productive utilization of land and water. Management network is essential, standard, certification, traceability. We have to enhance the competitiveness of our exports. That is a challenge here. We are a lot of non-tariff barriers are coming up. Many issues like phytosanitary measures. Today, many of the speakers will be speaking on that. That's also an area of concern to enhance. How do we enhance the competitiveness of our exports? I should thank the food processing. They are also coming up with the PLI scheme. Then, like the investments in private sector side, which is also the one theme of today's meeting, where entrepreneurship, how do you infuse entrepreneurship and youth to come into the sector? How do you include the private-public partnerships? Last but the most important challenges are twofold. One is the quality brood and seed, which is a lack. That's the key area in the fisheries sector today, is lack of quality seed and also a species diversification. These two are also are the areas which we are looking at. So as aquaculture donation and alternative livelihoods. These are some of the reforms we also have identified in our sector. I think today's meeting will focus on these and beyond this much more. We have a very well distinguished speakers here. I will not take much of the time. I'll leave the floor to Dr. Udyog Manthan to steer and moderate this session. Thank you very much for patient hearing and giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the scene and outlining the various policies of the government, the investments made both at the center and at the state level, and how incentives are being provided to the industry. And you have also spoken about the need for infusing technology and improving quality, certification, competitiveness. So this, I think, are the very important keywords now that have to be discussed. And also you highlighted the need to improve quality without compromising other issues. So we need to look at the whole picture. So thank you very much, sir. Now we will go to the speakers. Of course, as I mentioned, we have a very eminent panel of speakers with several decades of experience in the industry. And of course, the time is very limited for each speaker because they have so much of wealth of knowledge and so much to share. But because of this 2-hour duration of this webinar, we have to limit the time for each speaker to 10 minutes. Now we will start from the product end because Sri Eliad Seth, who is representing the Seafood Exporters Association, has some other program. So we will first start with him, and he represents the Seafood Exporters Association. And he has over 4 decades of experience of working in different sectors. He is a chartered accountant by training, and he has worked in different sectors like leather, transport, and seafood. Of course, he has been a spokesperson for the seafood export industry for a long period of time in different fora. So we are very happy to have him today. And I would like to ask him 2 questions. One is, of course, you are representing processing and export sector. Now, when we talk about processing, we also have in some regions pre-processing, and we have diverse markets. So there are different requirements for different markets. So we have markets like US, EU, Southeast Asia, China, and so on. So in your view, how the processing sector can contribute to enhancing productivity and quality? And the second question is, our share in the value-added segment is still small. How can we move up the value chain? And also, can you comment on the indigenization of processing equipment under Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme? Thank you. Over to Sri Eliad Seth, please.
So good afternoon to everybody, sir. Thank you particularly to Dr. Balaji. Actually, a lot of thanks is due from this sector to Dr. Balaji, who has been the prime mover for us in Delhi since the Fisheries Ministry has been formed. I think Dr. Balaji has done so much for this industry in the short span of time. And because he has attended to every aspect of it, whatever we say is available at any point in time, he responds to any of our questions. Sir, thank you so much. And we expect much more from you. Surely we'll get it. And of course, Dr. Karnasagar has been very kind to me for advancing my time a bit. So I'd like to and a lot of my colleagues and friends are also here. And I'll quickly run through a small presentation I've made just to address the issues about quality and productivity. Can you put it, Ayushi? Can you now put it on the screen? I sent a PPT to you. Is it there?
Sir, we are sharing the presentation.
Can you please share it, put it, yeah. It's taking a little time. Shall I even move otherwise? Yeah. Yes, sir. Now, I will be giving since the program is on quality and productivity, I gave a small glimpse of quality and productivity in the seafood sector. Let's move to the next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just giving a short export performance in the last 3 years. We have done almost 13 lakh tons and about 47,000 crores we have gone to. And it's in about we crossed 7 billion. It came down a bit in the last 2 years. But here, as Sir said, but actually, if you take the figures from 2009, we have gone up by 500%. In 2009-10 or 2008-9, it was only about 7 to 8,000 crores. And then we have gone up to 46,000 crores. This sector has been one of the fastest growing sectors in the country. Next one, sir. Next slide. Now, this is the markets, which is to the different markets. And you'll find that USA is the main market today. It's about nearly 40% goes to US. And then Europe, 13%. Of course, China and South Asia are the major market, and 31% goes there. And that's our market broadly. Next slide. And of course, shrimp is a major component of export, which is almost bordering on 70%. And then we have got frozen fish and all those other items. And again, in this frozen shrimp, aquaculture shrimp constitutes about 85%. So you can see the contribution on aquaculture for this growth. And aquaculture shrimp itself grew from something like 70,000 tons in 2008-2009 to 800,000 tons last year. That's the kind of growth we are seeing. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is a graph. Next slide, please. Yeah. Actually, during this 2021, we have had after a golden period of 10 years or 9 years, we had a slide down this year, of course, because of COVID and then other factors also. And actually, our exports showed a decline of almost till December. In quantity terms, it was 20% down, but in rupee value, it's 12% down. US dollar terms, it's 16%. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah. So these are the figures that you see. So the next slide. Yeah. Now, we are not deterred by this fall in exports. This is what I've been telling all my colleagues in various meetings. Yeah, there has been a slide down this year due to various factors. This happens in any sector. But we'll pick up from there and move on to achieve our targets, which is $15 billion by 2025. And 1.5 million tons of shrimp we propose to. This is what we estimate, and we'll, inshallah, we'll achieve that. Now, I am now coming back specifically to the quality in Indian marine products. Over the years, the parameters have shifted from focus on organoleptic parameters. Now, the focus is more on residues like antibiotics, heavy metals, and so on. Packaging and presentation of product is an important requirement. Quality systems like HACCP and certifications of BRC and the likes are very prominent, enveloping the complete product flow, from harvesting of raw material, transportation, pre-processing, processing, freezing, cold storage and shipment in refrigerated containers, and monitoring temperatures at every stage up to the point of delivery to the customer. Documentation at each stage plays a big part for monitoring of traceability. An updated in-house lab with trained technology are an essential part of a processing plant. And you all know that India has the best processing infrastructure in the world today, with over 350 EU-approved processing plants, again the most in the world. Again, universally, the best processing plants are in India. There are issues of rejections, mostly on residues in EU, USA, and Japan. But these are rare occurrences of less than 0.2% of the total quantity shipped. Now, as Sir was mentioning, we have issues in EU and all that, but it's so negligible. But they are using it as an NTB in trying to restrict our entries there, and the other markets are gaining there. Now, the quality of Indian shrimp is highly appreciated in these markets, and the supermarkets, restaurant, and retail chains in USA and EEC consider these all the best, the Indian shrimp. Next slide, please. Yeah. As far as the productivity goes in processing, I am restricting to processing here. Processing envelopes activities from harvesting to packing of the final finished product. Productivity of different stages, particularly in pre-processing and processing, does lag behind other countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and China. The skill, particularly for value-added peeled and cooked products, has to be significantly improved. Now, this calls for skill development programs, use of foreign labor for training, and a financial support program. One basic change is called for in labor policy. I know that's going to be difficult if we have to match up to our competitors. The wage system should be productivity linked. Even a piece wage instead of an hourly wage or a device structure should be formulated of both. In increasing our share of value-added products, improved productivity and a better labor policy will play a big part. Mechanization has played a good part in recent times in improving productivity, but still it is not sufficient. Excellent top-class processing, freezing, and storage equipment has been extensively used in expansions and additional investments, but a majority of these are imported. Indigenous manufacture, particularly of freezing equipment, has to develop both technology-wise and quality-wise. But people are on the job, but this is going to take some time. This is a matter of time. I think we will reach the Atmanirbhar program here also, as much as we have done in shrimp feed and other aspects. Next slide, please. As far as the value addition export concerned, I should mention here that value addition has been wrongly construed and defined by MPDA and other agencies, other government departments. They go by Chapter 16 of HSS codes, which only covers prepared products, which includes cooked. This is erroneous. Adding value can be in any form. In raw, ready-to-eat form, a head-on raw shrimp, if it is frozen well, packed well, and arranged well, and it gets premium in many markets. I think all my friends know here. A peeled tail-on shrimp, a butterfly cut shrimp, or an easy peel form, sometimes marinated, frozen in IQF form or in a tray pack, is a great seller in the retail chains and supermarkets of the world. These all are value-added products. Therefore, what I'm saying is, the real value-added export from India is 30% of exports and not 6%, as MPDA says, which is only Chapter 16 exports. But then, this 30% still compares very poorly with 80% of Thailand and more than 60% of Vietnam. A change in the mindset is called for. See, all along, we should all understand that our productions have gone up in such a massive scale. When something has gone up by almost 10 times over a period of 10 years, then the effort is to save the material, to conserve the material. So that's why much of it went on bulk production and these kind of things happened. So now that mindset, there has to be a change in that mindset and a major change in the government policy of support packages in the form of drawback, MEIS, and other foreign trade policy initiatives, even PLI, for exports to take place. It's very important that non-value-added bulk package exports of raw material, lot of raw material is still being exported in bulk form from India, which is going to other countries for reprocessing. This should be totally discouraged. According to me, with zero incentives. Many of my exporters will get hold of my throat and say, what are you saying? But I'm talking about this for the country. If you have to get value-added export up, I don't think there's any other alternative. Only value-added exports defined objectively and appropriately should be incentivized. Then you see how the value-added exports will go. Next slide, please. In conclusion, I should say that the Indian marine product export has advanced with big steps on the quality front, as much as it has progressed on primary production of both capture and culture fisheries. Indian marine products are well established on the shelves of many large supermarket, retail and restaurant chains of the world. No more is India branded as a poor quality country, which was so about 10 to 15 years back. Having said that, the primary producers in India, particularly of aquaculture shrimps, have to find ways of eliminating antibiotics usage, which a very small percentage of primary producers may be resorting to. I underline that. A very small percentage of primary producers may be resorting to. But this affects the marketability significantly. And now the risks of antibiotic residues is registered very seriously in the consumer minds, which could also result in ban on import. This is a real threat. Now, improved productivity and increased export of value added products need special focus. Labor laws need to be addressed to see that the productivity is increased. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting the important issues. And also you pointed out some of the hopes that we can have Atmanirbhar Bharat with respect to equipments, the processing equipments, and also you highlighted the need wherever there are gaps with respect to quality and what needs to be done. And also you have rightly pointed out the need to discourage bulk exports and give more emphasis for value-added products. So thank you very much. Now, since Elias Seth may be leaving shortly, are there any questions, urgent questions in the chat box for him? Because for others, we thought we will have discussion in the end. But since he may leave early, so I thought if there are any urgent questions in the chat box for him, we can take up now. Otherwise, we can proceed to the next speaker.
Can I come in? Point I have to make. I think
There are no questions so far.
Can I come in? A point I want to make
Okay.
the seafood exporters. See, what of late a trend has set. Everybody is trying to malign India's, exports and malign India, saying a lot of issues. Last few days, you might have seen a lot of media reports are also coming up. Maybe I'm not going to the merits of that reporting, but at the same time, the agencies, some of them are unknown to us also. Not anyway, and these it is important as as an organization like you, as a seafood association, has to come out with some good notes and some good clarifications, so that you have to, because the government views will be seen with a pinch of salt. Rather, if you are looking at as an institution like an Seafood Exporters Association, I think we have to have a counter narrative in place so as to address these. So it's not all so bad as being projected, as you rightly said in your presentation, as you have a very microscopic minority issues are there as far as aquaculture, antibiotics. But yesterday, Mr. Ramrao shared with me one report of somebody doing a big research and saying that there is an antibiotic, microbial resistance in our shrimp. I'm a microbiologist myself. So if a joint secretary, if I say, that will not be having that much value. As an outside, if I sit on the chair and talk, I can talk. But these are unfortunate realities which we have to challenge. Yes, everybody is trying to do a lot of protectionism for their own domestic markets. Perhaps I look at it from that perspective. So we have to build up a narrative. That's what I thought I'll share in presence of Dr. Seth. Thank you, Mr. Seth. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. So then we will move to the next speaker. So now we will start from the production side, and from for the production for shrimp, particularly hatcheries are very important. So we have Ravi Kumar Elanki, who was till recently he was the president of Society of Aquaculture Professionals and former secretary of All India Shrimp Hatchery Association. And he is managing director of Vaisakhi Biomarine Private Limited, Vaisakhi Bioresources Limited. So he has more than 2 decades of experience in this area. So my questions to Sri Ravi Kumar would be, Indian shrimp aquaculture is facing serious disease problems despite the fact that we are importing SPF broodstock from US. How can shrimp hatcheries ensure production of good quality seeds? And the second question would be, live feeds seem to be critical inputs for hatcheries. How can quality and biosecurity be ensured in live feeds getting into the hatcheries? Over to Sri Ravi Kumar, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karna Sagar, and good afternoon to everybody. As such, if you look at 2020 shrimp sector, we have gone down by 20%, as Ilyas Seth has told right at the beginning. Our production has taken a dip for the first time ever since the introduction of Vaname, and we lost our leadership to Ecuador. This year, 2020, we are no more the leaders. We are not the #1 exporters, nor the #1 producers. We have become #2 exporter, could be #3 producer. And if you look at the reasons why we have gone down, it is predominantly because of the shrimp epidemics, not because of pandemic. Pandemic has definitely contributed for some dip, but predominantly it has gone down because of the shrimp epidemics. In the second half, we have not done well at all. I mean, if you look at 2019, in second half, we have done very well. 2020 second half, we have done very badly because of the disease outbreaks. So what are the diseases that are causing the problems? Of course, this WSSV remains to be there. It has been there for the last 20 years. It continues to be there, but farmers know what to do, hatcheries know what to do, and the guidelines that have been given by CAA for permitting the hatcheries, it takes care of the measures that addresses the problem of WSSV. But we have other emerging issues like EHP, which is a microsporidium, and white feces. Everybody presumes the reason is bacteria, some kind of Vibrio. So these are the two emerging problems that are plaguing the industry, not just in India, in whole of Asia. China is suffering with host of diseases, Southeast Asian countries are suffering, and India is also suffering. So what is the hatchery's role in addressing these disease problems? So, I mean, I would try to give a little bit of background about this white feces and EHP. And we have done a detailed study at Society of Aquaculture Professionals along with University of Arizona. Actually, our past president Ramraj was spearheading the whole survey. We have done it along with University of Arizona, and Dr. Fernando from University of Arizona was here when we were collecting the samples. We have taken about 155 samples from different parts of the country. We have taken samples right from Bengal up to Gujarat, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, everywhere we have taken. So out of the 155 samples with classic symptoms of white feces, 133 of them turned out to be positive for EHP. 12 of the samples were not positive for EHP, but still we could see classic symptoms of white feces. So what we could understand from this is EHP is not the causative agent. The causative agent is some bacterial load. I mean, even today, the etiology is not known, but we presume that it is bacteria. And 133 samples got infected with EHP. And when we see the results of the growth, I mean, the 13 samples which were are not found to have EHP, the growth is good. So when we have white feces without EHP, the growth is good. And out of these 133 samples, about 55 samples or so are from freshwater areas. I mean, from the ponds where the culture is done with bore water. And there, the EHP is on the higher side. I mean, we looked at the CT values, they're like 22, 23, and some of the ponds, the CT values are to a level of 18 as well, means the spore count is very, very high. There, the growth is good. Surprisingly, in the ponds, which are done with fresh water, the growth is good. We have EHP, but still the growth is good. Usually in freshwater ponds, we don't have much of bacterial loads. So the problems are co-infection. I mean, when EHP is coming along with bacteria, we are seeing a big issue in terms of growth. Why I'm saying this is, so at hatcheries also, we need to address two problems. I mean, we need to have two-pronged approach. It is whether it is hatcheries or farms. I mean, how do we suppress the bacterial load is one approach. and how do you get away with EHP? So I will try to explain how hatcheries have to function from this two-pronged approach. So first, let me talk about how do we suppress the bacterial loads. See, when we were doing tiger, we used to go for individual spawning, and we used to wash the eggs and the nuclei thoroughly with formalin, with iodine, and with running seawater. After switching over to SPF Vaname, we were going for mass spawning, mass hatching, and we were done away with egg washing and nuclei washing. Many of us, we started revisiting the washing protocols. Now we are keeping less number of animals for spawning, and the eggs we are thoroughly washing, and we're shifting them to another tank for hatching. Earlier we used to do it in the same tank. And we are thoroughly washing the eggs, and we are thoroughly washing the nuclei also. That is the first step. You can reduce the bacterial loads if you go for thorough washing of eggs and nuclei. And the second thing is, most of the bacteria, it comes from the fresh feeds. So we don't have SPF polychaetes within the country. I mean, we were asking the government to work on that, come up with a SPF polychaete farm. If they come up with a kind of a nucleus breeding center, first of all, they have to identify which is the species that could be domesticated. Then they have to study the habitat of that particular species and come up with culture methods. If any of the government agencies or institutions come up with that kind of a program, they can give the founder stock to the hatcheries. The hatcheries will have a multiplication center under biosecure conditions, and they can use those polychaetes. Till the time we come up with such a program, what we have to do is we have to pasteurize all the wet feeds. We have to heat them up till 70 degrees. What happens is at 70 degrees, the nutritional profile is not lost. At the same time, you can kill all the diseases. So quite a few hatcheries have started doing that in India. And if you look at a domestication program of P. monodon of a scientist called Dr. Chu Fang Lo in Taiwan, she's working on domestication of P. monodon program. For domestication program means SPF program itself, she's using fresh polychaetes, but she's pasteurizing them. In fact, she's taking it to a higher level, 80, 85 degrees. We can also do that. We can compromise on the nutritional profile, but we cannot compromise on the diseases. So if we pasteurize or heat all the wet feeds to a little higher temperature, say about 80 degrees, we might compromise on the nutritional profile a bit, but definitely, I mean, we will have nuclei that is free of diseases. Once your nuclei is free of diseases, then your larvae is going to free of diseases. You are going to give the seed which is free of any inoculation of bacteria. So that is one thing. And the second thing is stopping the uses of antibiotics. See, one thing is if you stop using antibiotics, your end product would be in line with the market requirement. Apart from that, if you're using antibiotics in the hatchery, it kills all the weak bacteria. The pathogenic bacteria is going to stay back in the system, and they're going to proliferate. If you stop using antibiotics and start using probiotics, you will have a balance in the microbial colony in the system, and your pathogenic bacteria is not going to proliferate. Thereby, your efficiency is going to increase in the hatchery, and the hatcheries are going to give seed that is free of bacteria to the, if not free, with a very, very limited loads of bacteria to the farmers. And the other thing is hatcheries cannot run their hatcheries for a long time. They have to go for very swift stocking and sell swiftly and go for disinfection. I mean, hatcheries cannot operate their facilities for 2 consecutive cycles. They have to operate it with the hatchery for 1 cycle and then go for disinfection. And even the 1 cycle also, it should not be prolonged for too long a time. See, in farms, if you look at to suppress the bacterial loads, what Vietnam is doing is they're going for multi-phase. Similarly, in the hatcheries also, if you're running your hatchery for too long a time, the bacterial buildup is going to be very much on the higher side, and we're going to give the inoculum to the farmers. So one has to go for very swift stocking and sell swift in a swift manner and go for disinfection. I mean, the cycle length should not be more than 28 to 30 days, any hatchery. I mean, they cannot run the hatchery on a continuous basis, and they cannot stock the larval tanks very slowly. Thereby also you can suppress the bacterial loads. So this is all about bacteria. How do you suppress the bacterial loads in the hatchery? And coming to the other problem of microsporidium, EHP, what we can do? I mean, again, fresh feeds. I mean, it comes to the fresh feeds because it has become endemic in the system, EHP. So we have to pasteurize the feeds and take them into the maturation. And before starting the maturation, you have to give an alkaline treatment to inactivate the spores. The EHP spores are very, very minute, but it's easy to do away with the spores in the hatchery than in a farm. Because in the farm, what happens is you have soil, all these particles are kind of distributed with the soil particles. So killing and inactivating all the spores is difficult in a farm, but in a hatchery, it's very easy. You go for an alkaline treatment, like 2%, 2.5% aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide, apply it in all the tank surfaces and all the paraphernalia that is used in the maturation and spawning areas, and keep it for 3 hours, then dry them up for 1 week. Then afterwards, you give again 200 ppm chlorine with some acid, HCl. Then the pH again comes back to the normal level, and your system is ready. That should be practiced. The disinfection processes have to be changed in the maturation and spawning. Earlier, we used to use just chlorine and formalin. That has to be changed now. And again, coming back to the fresh feeds, I mean, we have to pasteurize them. Otherwise, it could sneak through. The EHP could sneak through to the maturation, and from there to the PLs and then to the farms. But the long run, how are we going to address this problem? I mean, we need to have SPF polychaete farms. That is the ultimate solution, whether it is bacteria, EHP, or in future, it could be some other pathogen. So we need to have SPF polychaete. This is very much imperative for the government to take up and start such project. I mean, projects have been done in other countries like that. Chulalongkorn University in Thailand, they have researched for quite some time and found out the species that can be domesticated. And they studied.
Those kindly unmute. Sorry, mute yourself. Don't keep your microphones muted so that the speaker is not interrupted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So we have to identify the species and do this domestication program, because right now we are taking it from the wild, but it is a finite quantity. I mean, one day or other that would be not there, that would not be available. And as such, if you're taking too much of polychaetes out of the system, it could affect the biodiversity as well. I mean, the ecological balance could be affected. And apart from that, I mean, availability is a question mark. So we need to have this. It's of great importance. I mean, for the entire industry to survive, if hatcheries give disease-free seed free of EHP and bacteria, I mean, farmers' productivity is bound to increase. I mean, if you look at last year, sir, we have produced about 805,000 tons with 70 billion seed. This year also we have produced 70 billion seed, but we have produced only 650,000. The productivity has come down. The productivity has come down because of the reason that we have this EHP and white feces issues, So, I mean, it is very important for the hatcheries to do it in the right manner. The operations, they have to come up with the right protocols and do it in a responsible manner. And if the government can come up with a SPF polychaete project and give the founder stocks to the hatcheries, I mean, it's going to help the industry at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for highlighting the issues, because you highlighted about the number of diseases, and it was also good to hear that you have a number of solutions, and most of them are related to implementing good hygienic practices. So most of them can be addressed this way, and pasteurization. So you also have the solution. So we hope that the hatchery will be able to implement these practices and produce good quality seeds for aquaculture. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So thank you very much for giving me the.
And now I would like to invite Sri Balasubramaniam, who is the president of the seafood, shrimp hatchery federation. So he has been able to bring together. Sorry, yeah, Farmers Federation. So he has been able to bring together the farmers from different states into one national federation. And of course, he is a MBA. He holds an MBA, and he has been in this sector for now quite some time. And he is also in the board of several organizations, including the FSSAI and SIBA. So he comes with a lot of experience. So, and he also represents the Federation of Shrimp Farmers. So we'll be very happy to listen to Balasubramaniam.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for the introduction. I will take on my questions myself, sir. Thank you for that. You've asked me about in what are the industry's approach to overcome the residue issues in the exported shrimp. I want to start my answers to that with taking a cue from what Mr. Elias said and what Dr. Balaji have pinpointed here. Is that the issue is not as big as it is made out to be in the public domain and otherwise, because the actual rejections are 0.2% overall, including antibiotic residues and other contaminants. So as such, if you see, out of the in 2019, out of the 800,000 tons exported, 0.2% is minuscule. And I want to further put it in perspective by saying, if you look at the way our Indian shrimp production happens, we are probably one of the most fragmented shrimp farming sectors, I mean, shrimp farming societies in the entire world, because our landholding pattern is very small. Our production comes from, say, about 150,000, 160,000 hectares, of which is held by more than 100,000 farmers. So we 1 hectare, 1.5 hectares is the average production, I mean, farm size. So consolidating all these shrimp from across the country, 9 different maritime states, and getting it together and maintaining a quality and exporting to one of the toughest norms, I mean, countries which have the toughest food safety norms, we still are at 0.2%, which itself is a fantastic achievement, I would say. I mean, kudos to the entire sector, starting from the farmers all the way to the exporters, and in between all the hatchery operators and all, and the ministry also is constantly supporting us. Now, that doesn't mean that we are not having rejections. Like again, what Dr. Balaji and Dr. Elias has mentioned. Yes, there is a minuscule percentage. We need to address it, and how we should actually address this is, first off, we need to figure out. We still are working on, and with the ministry and everybody, we're trying to figure out where is this small to 0.2% of small number of rejections. Where are these production coming from? And if we identify it, is it from the shrimp itself, or is it from the runoff water, or is it anywhere else happening? So that needs to be put in place and to weed it out. And we are also in high discussions with MPDA and the ministry for having a holistic quality control program, which will go through the entire production cycle. Currently, if you see the exported product is tested only at the fag end just before exports through the PETs, that is pre-export tests. If to have a more holistic approach, you're starting from the seed itself, starting from the import and the seed itself. If we have throughout the production cycle, if the quality is monitored through various programs, and then it is finally goes to the export, then there's a much higher chance of completely weeding out and delivering the promise, which is what is from every farmer to the consumer, that our produce is the best, and it's very good for you in terms of food safety. So, and that needs to be thing. So we need to increase our surveillance, which is again happening in the sector, and we need to also put in place some things which the farmer also needs. Like since Dr. Balaji is here, I want to pinpoint here some certified inputs. Again, a lot of work is happening on the input certification by CAA. More work needs to be done on bringing in all the products which goes into shrimp production, certification of all those programs, and accreditation of labs. When farmers, when they want to go buy their seeds or buy their inputs, we are still not sure where to go and test our products. So accreditation of labs and things, all those are happening now and then. But if it can be an ongoing program which continuously happens, it will be very convenient for the farmers to ensure the input, whatever input, whether it is seed or other products which goes into their thing, is tested through an accredited lab, so that they are also sure of what the outcome of the test is, and accordingly they can stock their ponds. And also we need to support the farmers with other facilities such as finance, so that they have sufficient money to run their crop and ensure that there is a quality of production throughout their production. And also, sir, in this point I would like to mention about access to world-class products. See, our farmers are expected to produce world-class shrimp, which competes in the global market for quality and price. And we feel that our farmers should have access to products which are world-class and which are available at a reasonable price for them. At this point, I want to bring in the points about what happened during this budget. About fantastic initiatives have been taken for our fishery through our fisheries minister for the fisheries sector. Thank you, sir, for all the initiatives that you've taken. And this particular point, one small thing has happened also, where the import duty for fish feed and shrimp feed and fish meal has gone up by 10%. Now, sir, this is some kind of a mistake seems to have happened here, because the imported feed was as a sort of a benchmark for us in terms of quality and pricing. Now that benchmark is lost, and again, if you see, Mr. Elias said was mentioned, without the imported machinery which they've been using for so many years, the quality of produce which goes out of our country through the processing factories won't be as good as if they were totally dependent on the Indian machinery. Likewise, our product also, we can't be totally dependent on the Indian production alone, although it is of great initiative. We have to do Make in India, Atmanirbhar, yes, all that is there. But as farmers, we should be allowed to have competent products which are available worldwide also, sir. So, Dr. Karnasagar, yes, that is how we would like to attack the issue. Although there is a small negative results from on exported shrimp. These are all the ways that by acting upon all these things, we will take care of the rejections. And the next question, sir, you mentioned is about farm certification schemes. Will it help the shrimp? This is a good quality product. So particularly if it comes from competent authorities, then it makes it even more authenticated, that the thing. So in that way, farm certification would be of very useful thing to put in place. And for the farmers, yes, it'll guide them through to go through exactly the process which is laid out already, based on which you are assured of a good quality product coming at the end of the crop. And for the consumers, this farm certification will ensure that they also have a third party certified product which comes into their market, and they are able to buy and use this product. Now, MPIIT has taken up this farm certification and hatchery certification. Hatchery certification is already rolled out, which is a very good thing. Now, farm certification, the final document is put up in the public comments in the MPIIT website. So any of you listening to this are most welcome to go through. I was part of the farm certification program when it was developed. So anybody who's interested to go through the document and give your views on that. With this farm certification, certainly we will be able to attack the quality issues, which of course are very minuscule. Yes, of course, we need to address that minuscule issue also and take it forward. That will be the answer for both your questions, sir. Thank you for your time and the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And yeah, you have very rightly addressed the questions, and you have pointed out the need for labs and accreditation. I think these are there in the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. There are schemes for laboratories and also for accreditation, for certification and traceability. So these are, I think, good schemes which will help the industry, the farming sector, as well as the processing sector. So thank you. Thank you very much also for pointing out the need for farm certification. I think this is also there in the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Padaya.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So now we will move to the next speaker, also representing the farming sector, Dr. Manoj Sharma. Now, Dr. Manoj Sharma has a long experience both in academics and then as an entrepreneur. So he was for some time also in Central Institute of Fisheries Education. And then he started his own farming activity, and he has been recognized by a number of organizations. So he has received a number of awards, Best Fish Farmer Award, and India's Small Giant Awards, Hiralal Chaudhary Fisheries Foundation Award. So number of awards he has received for his achievements in different sectors. So he is presently director of Mayank Aquaculture Private Limited. So my questions to Dr. Manoj Sharma would be, you have been a successful shrimp farmer for a long time. In your experience, are there quality issues with inputs like feed, chemicals, etc., and can productivity be increased with the quality assured inputs? And the second question would be, you have been a proponent of popularizing shrimp domestic market, and you have practical experience of starting Zingalala to promote shrimp. Do you think shrimp farmers should explore domestic market instead of focusing on exports? Over to Dr. Manoj Sharma.
Thank you, Dr. Sab. And yes, I'll answer it in two sections. So when we talk about whether the input will definitely increase, help to increase the productivity or not. So you have to understand shrimp farming is a very, very complex subject itself. I think only definitely when we talk about the input, we talk about generally the seed. And I think my good friend Ravi has already covered it very well. What is the importance of the seed and how a good quality seed will, there is a saying now, what you sow is what you reap. So whatever the good quality seed is the first paramount importance, definitely yes. But when we talk about India and when we talk about the challenge of increasing production, see, if you take the gist of all these three speakers, including what Balaji sir also said, see, already once Vanami was introduced, we have to understand India into two eras, the monodon era and the Vanama era. So already in monodon, we had never produced more than 70,000 ton. Though that time also we were having good seed feed. But then because of the challenges and issues, because of the old disease, new disease and emerging disease, then we have to introduce Vanami. And then you see Vanami, what happened to Vanami. So every year, successive year, we have been adding almost like 1 lakh ton. And we have reached a mammoth production of 8 lakh ton in 2019. So we already do have a quality seed, feed, management, technicality, healthcare product is already there in the market. But what actually affecting the productivity is the two side. You know, when we talk about India, yesterday I was one of the panel discussion in World Shrimp Outlook. So there were like the world is talking about that who is going to first cross the 1 million mark, whether it's India, whether it's Ecuador, or now whether it's Vietnam. So India, definitely, I said we have a potential to produce more. Even we can produce more, 1.5 million ton. But the biggest thing, sir, the challenge is whether we can sustain it or whether with the production is increased can be profitable to shrimp farmers. Within this 8 lakh ton production, industry is already feeling the heat. As Ravi very nicely is put up. See, COVID was not a big challenge. So today, Indian shrimp farming 20% is down mostly because of the disease issues rather than the COVID issues. So yes, I do agree. The shrimp, if you see, there are four aspects. One is the seed, good quality feed and healthcare products, but also equally the pond management and the technique and the technicality. So I want to say to those who are listening to me that India, we need to understand, as Bala said, we have almost like 1,70,000 hectares. Out of that, Vanami is in 1,50,000. 10,000 we say still it is a monodon, and 5 to 6,000 is somewhere about the scampi, the Macrobacterium rosenbergi farming. So when we talk about the land holding, we divide, as Bala said very rightly, that we merely have more than 1.5 hectare per individual farmers. So if in India looks for the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Yojana objectives of doubling the production, doubling the exports, and doubling the farming income, so I suggest that there are two modules India can adopt. One is the positive carrying capacity and the most sustainable module, that not to produce more than 4 ton, 5 ton per hectare. And then we have another aspect that we should bring in a latest technology and go for the intensification mode. But in intensification mode also, we have to understand that intensification doesn't come with sustainability. We have to also think whether it is suitable to India, whether to intensify and produce double or triple in the same hectare. Because we have very small holding, we have number of farms, and it is very scattered. And when we produce if you want to go for the doubling the production, we also, one very good example I want to say how the product and productivity in India is affecting the shrimp farmer. Because we talk about India as a whole, but if you divide India, 60-70% is Andhra Pradesh, and then rest of the India. If you see last 4 years, the production which has added to the bucket is coming from Gujarat, Odisha, and West Bengal. That is almost 2.5 lakh ton. But if you see the challenges these new states are facing is on the cost of production. See, no state can match the cost of production, the efficiency in Andhra Pradesh. As Dr. Balaji very clearly said, Andhra Pradesh is giving 1.5 rupees electrical tariff, whereas Gujarat, right now I am paying 8.5. So it is 400 to 500 times extra tariff for me. Seed in Andhra Pradesh is for 30 paisa. Feed in Andhra Pradesh is average 70-72, where in Gujarat the seed price comes double, because all 90% hatcheries are on in coast, and few hatcheries are operating in west coast. So within India, whether it's a exporter or the farmer, the government has to understand there is a game, Andhra Pradesh versus rest of India. And if you see, sir, if you want to again increase the production, we are actually going with the old census about the land and resources. As per the old data, we have just 1.2 million hectares. But last 3-4 years, if you see, the 8 million hectares of inland saline is added. So I think Dr. Balaji is also listening. See, the need of the hour is not the yojanas, not the financial outlet. Definitely, it is a backbone financial institute. But what entrepreneurs is required, India requires, is a right policy to open up the resources for the entrepreneurs. Unless and until we show that, there will be no increase in production. India, at what I as a farmer I see, because I am in Gujarat, and if you see Andhra Pradesh, this whatever 4 lakh, 4.5 or 5 lakh ton production is coming, 99% is coming from the private land. Whereas in Gujarat, whatever 50,000 shrimp has been producing is producing 100% from the government lease land. So we need to bring in more land, because India cannot afford to have a very intensification system to produce more. So we need to adopt the positive carrying capacity module to lease out more land to the entrepreneurs, so they can take up more number of hectares can be engaged in farming, and then that will help to definitely increase the production and productivity of India. That's my first take. I'll now answer about the second. Before going that quick, what product and productivity to add will really help is, like, as I said, opening of resources. Then also we should also have a unified aqua power tariff across the India, because it is majorly affecting the farmers. See, if Andhra Pradesh is producing almost $1 cheaper than rest of the India, so finally in longer run, this competition will be completely, or the other state farmers will be eliminated out of the business. Then also we need to work on insurance sector. We've been talking aquaculture and shrimp farming should get an insurance, but many people are coming across, but their percentage there is almost talking about 5 to 7.5, which is next to impossible for shrimp farmers to afford that kind of a premium. Then last but not the least, when I am covering a domestic market, I will definitely cover. See, India is now what after 8 lakh tons of production. I personally, as a shrimp farmer who is doing shrimp farming from 27 years, I believe that what is really killing us is that dependency on the overseas export market. Our 99%, if you say, is our entire production is dependent upon the foreign exports. But when we talk about domestic market and then we speculate about domestic market, many people say shrimp has a very negligible domestic market. But when we talk about aquaculture domestic market or fish, as Dr. Balaji has already given a figure that 14 million metric tons of fish has been produced. And out of that, I think 99% is consumed in India. So we have a domestic market. But when it comes to shrimp, there are a lot of notions, there are a lot of misleading information, misunderstanding about the quality, the cholesterol, the allergy, and the cost. It is unaffordable. So all this thing has to be done under a campaign to promote shrimp into the domestic market. So when you know that India, already Dr. Balaji has said, we are almost, there is a pipeline of more than 40,000 crore rupees to be spent for the aquaculture sector. Balaji sir, now I want to request you, sir, whether see India, that there are two most popular people in India. One are the film stars and second is the cricketers. So I think, sir, I think we should sign in somebody as an ambassador for shrimp domestic market. Even imagine like a Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan or Sachin Tendulkar is being an ambassador promoting shrimp for the domestic consumption. It will change the entire game, sir. Forget about when India can consume 1,40,000 tons of fish, why they cannot consume 8 lakh tons of shrimp? I think within 1 month we will chew up that production in India itself. So I think we need to have some domestic market campaign to support this sector. And I think that will be the real Atmanirbhar. Our domestic market is the real Atmanirbhar solution for our India. Because I will say, Karuna Sagar sir, production is directly related to depend upon the market movement, whether you say it overseas or the domestic. So as a farmer, I will tell you, overseas we have plenty of challenges for the finding new markets and all. So let's focus, which is very easy to have a domestic market. We have 1.3 billion population. See, I did my little bit from last 3 years working on Jingalala to promote the farm-raised shrimp cuisine. But since Dr. Balaji is listening to me because he is representing Government of India, I will request him, why not we supply shrimp to the institutional messes? Why not the armed forces, paramilitary forces? Because our military is the biggest consumer. So let's work on that and work on domestic market. It will definitely help India. That's where I will say that if farming needs to be supported, the domestic market is the easy option. Thank you so much, sir. I hope I've answered your both questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think you made a very important point in the need for promoting domestic consumption, because now, as I mentioned, the fish consumption in India is still low, so we need to enhance that, and shrimp could be an important part of that. So thank you very much for highlighting that. Now I would like to invite Sri Santana Krishnan, who is also a very well experienced person in this area. He has been there for 3 decades in various aspects. In addition to farming, he has also experience in safety and quality. He has been a HACCP auditor and best aquaculture product farm practice auditor, BRC auditor. So he has a lot of experience in both farming as well as quality. So my questions to Sri Santana Krishna would be, the focus of this panel discussion has been quality, productivity, and standards. India has taken a number of policy steps to support industry. What are the industry expectations in terms of policy and regulatory support? And the second question would be, in today's world of fast communication and social network, branding becomes very important, both for international as well as domestic markets. In shrimp sector, how can we develop brand India in these markets? Thank you. Over to Sri Santana Krishna.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Karna Sagar, and good evening to all. The first outset, my sincere thanks to our Joint Secretary, Shri Balaji sir, for really a big support being extended to our sector, and for his most important quality is that he is easily approachable, and is available for all the sector and the stakeholders. Thank you for that, sir, and for unfurling the PMFY scheme and FATF scheme, now the Blue Revolution. I think during this your period of your interim period as your as a joint secretary, we're going to see a very major change, and we're already experiencing it. The second thing is, I think the CEO of NFDB is here. My thanks to Dr. Suvarna for making NFDB's assistance, extending the stakeholders across pan-India, starting from a fish farmer, a high technology fish farmer in one remote corner in India in Madurai, to the Mr. Dr. Manoj Sharma, Zingalala high-tech shrimp cuisine restaurant in Gujarat. So that was quite possible because of NFDB. So thanks to both of them on that. Okay, let me start with the answers. The first thing I would like to say is slightly rephrase the first question. We are not trying to rebuild the brand, but we like to strengthen the brand. So we are not lost any brand. We're not going to rebuild it, but we're going to strengthen it. And to discuss and to answer to your issues on questions on policy issues, the first thing which comes to my mind is every state government should take care of implementation and accountability for the policy issues initiated by the central. This is very, very important in terms of aquaculture. So as much as the central government's policies are very much interested, even the state government should play a very active role in popularizing it and well as implementing it. Second thing is, state governments should identify coastal areas unfit for any other form of production or activity to be suitable for aquaculture and bring aquaculture as one of the priority sector areas in terms of one of the state's priority lending or priority development areas. And they should also go ahead with the marking of aqua zones, that is areas suitable only for aquaculture. In this field, thanks to Coastal Aquaculture Authority, have taken a very giant leap, and they have taken initiatives and talking to all the state governments to earmark the aquaculture zones also. So this is very, very important to develop more coastal areas, policy level interventions to bring the coastal areas into aquaculture, as well as inland water bodies and inland areas for freshwater aquaculture. So this has to be under the, because we don't see most of the time in state government budgets, we see a lot of schemes that comes for fishermen, but we don't see any schemes which comes for aquaculture. So this is very, very important because aquaculture also meets the protein requirement, plus it also contributes to the a great contribution to the national GDP also. The other policy level intervention is that while everybody is looking into carps as a major inland freshwater fish farming, look at tilapia as a short-term duration crop. You take, for example, states like Tamil Nadu, who are dependent on northeast monsoon rains only, starting from October to December, and we have good water only for 6 months. So diversification into a species like tilapia would bring more inland water bodies as well as inland land unsuitable for agriculture into aquaculture also. So this is the way we should look into. And some of the points our colleague Dr. Manoj has already raised. The most important policy level intervention for the farmers would be accessibility and availability of primary credit and insurance for aqua farmers. So what is very important is, of course, at the national level, the banks, including the NABARD, they would like to extend facilities for aquaculture. But this has to trickle down to the state level and even to the branch level also. Because most of the branches, when an aqua farmer goes and gives an application, is not even prepared to accept the application. So if you tell the manager, no sir, it's in the government of India, priority sector, and all that, he's not willing to listen to that. So popularize it under, with every state, the banks, that aquaculture is a priority area for lending, and then they should take it up. And as Dr. Manoj said, insurance is another sector, and now the new product has been already rolled, thanks to some of our colleagues who were attending this Aqua Connect. So they have been talking to some insurance companies, and new insurance policy is going to be rolled out very soon for the benefit of the aqua farmers also on this. So apart from these policy issues, moving forward, if you're talking about expanding our aquaculture production, as Dr. Manoj Sharma rightly said, resources availability, land availability. Every state government should come forward with their coastal lands leasing policy for coastal aquaculture, as well as inland water bodies and inland government lands for aquaculture also. This leasing policy would also make even the small scale farmers who cannot afford to buy expensive private lands to get into aquaculture, wherein the productivity could be increased on this. The other most important aspect is, as we look forward for expanding our production, we need the technically trained hands. Skill development, education and training has to be the priority sector under the policy for each fisheries institutes or with the government of India. This is what is really going to take the technologies which has been developed and being practiced for so many years to upgrade, to take it to a different level, and wherein we can increase our production. So these are the policy level interventions which I would like to talk about. By coming into regulatory aspects, the first important thing is there has to be a harmonization of standards. When I say harmonization of standards, it is not that telling any stakeholder, maybe the hatchery or a farmer or a feed mill, to say, how do you formulate your feed? How do you grow your shrimp? They know their job very well, because you cannot expect a feed mill to share their formulae with you. But we can give them a guidelines. What is a good quality feed? What is a good quality seed? How to grow the farm shrimp without using any unapproved substances. So there has to be some sort of a harmonization of standards. If every state starts bringing in their own standards, like now initiated by Andhra Pradesh, then suppose an input supplier or a feed supplier, he will be under more confusion to say what quality of feed I should supply. He can't be producing one feed for Tamil Nadu, one feed for Andhra Pradesh, one for West Bengal. He cannot do. Same thing could come to seed. Same thing could come into production also, production of shrimps later. So there has to be some sort of a harmonization of standards wherein there is no strict rules like do's and don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that. But bring some sort of a good guidelines, ensuring a good quality production at every levels. So this is very much important. Otherwise, in the pretext of creating a standardization, we'll be creating more confusion only. That this has to be well understood by us. The another most important aspect of regulatory is ease of doing things, ease of business and ease of doing things. Already under the DPIIT, a lot of things have been eased, thanks to Dr. Balaji also, even for aquaculture sector. For example, the import SIP license for the broodstocks have been dispensed of with, like which many other things are going to come. The most important thing is the bottlenecks in the farm registrations, especially the coastal farms registration. Big bottleneck, not only registration, including renewals also. But we reliably understand CA is really working towards it to simplify the whole process, to bring to enlarge the basket of registered farmers in this country, and also simplify the renewal process. This I would like to answer for the policy and regulatory. Brand building. See, everybody believes brand building has to be done only by the processor. Actually, it should be aquaculture value chain building. The brand or the quality starts from production. It's not in the processing. The shrimp fry spends about 20 days in the hatchery, about 100 days in the farm, but only few hours to days in a processing facility. A processor can give a food safety product, a presentable farm, but the quality has to come from different production levels. So in the aquaculture value chain building, that's where the real brand building starts. How do we start? First thing is incentivize the producers for certifications and traceability. It's very, very important. When you talk about certification traceability, thanks to MPDA, they already, as Mr. Bala said, from PFFI, MPDAs already have the certification standards for the hatcheries, which has been rolled out, and for the farm. But what is here is very important is, we have to make those certification standards benchmark to GFSI standards, Global Food Safety Initiatives. Otherwise, our certification standards will only remain within our borders. We cannot extend beyond the borders of India. If we have to really reach out to import markets, maybe US, Europe, or Japan, unless our standards are benchmarked with GFSI standards, there is no point in attempting any certification. Because again, like the standards, more certification will create only more confusions in the market. So we need to have the certification standards which can really bring a value to the farmer. I see that under PMMSY, there is also a big scheme to harmonize the standards as well as certification. This will be a great support to the processors, feed mills, as well as to the farmers and hatcheries. If the financial assistance is provided to them, if they want to go for national as well as international certification, it's very important. Because only if you have your products internationally certified, then you can take them across to the import markets also. So a special scheme for certification schemes for individual farmers, group farmers. We can also include group farmers can be brought in. That is very important. And we are talking about antibiotic shrimps, as Dr. Balaji has rightly said. Recently, the paper has been circulated again on antimicrobial bacterial substances and farmed shrimp and all that. See, first of all, everybody, even in the report, it says that also paints a very bad picture on the farmers. This has to be dispensed with. This has to be vocal. Why the farmer has to be, every farmer is using antibiotics? No, the rejection is only 0.2% in the overall export. So look at farmers who are having the antibiotics, incentivize them if they could supply an antibiotic-free shrimp. This is very important. And most important, we have to make a noise in the social media. But Balaji has rightly pointed out, we have to make a lot of noise. We don't see anything which is coming from India other than Dr. Manoj Sharma's presence in most of the international conferences. So these are the things which I would like to say in terms of product certifications as well as brand building. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for pointing out the problems faced on the ground and what needs to be done to improve. And so many solutions, ideas also you have provided. So thank you very much. So now we will move from shrimp to freshwater aquaculture. So we have Sri Ramchandra Raju, who has been the spokesperson for the freshwater aquaculture industry. And he is himself an innovator and farmer operating in different parts of India. And he has also been organizing the farmers, freshwater fish farmers. And he has established an association, Society for Freshwater Aquaculture, Indian Fisheries and Aquaculture. And he has been organizing technical seminars and trade shows related to freshwater. So he has been focusing attention on this sector. So my questions to Sri Ramchandra Raju would be, freshwater aquaculture is very important to supply fish to domestic consumers, but this sector is much less regulated. What are the quality and productivity issues related to broodstock, hatcheries and farm in this sector? And what are the opportunities to contribute to Atmanirbhar Bharat in terms of aquaculture inputs in freshwater aquaculture? Over to Sri Ramchandra Raju, please.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Karnasagarji, and thank you, Manthan, and thanks to Dr. Balaji. I think so far what we heard is wealth part of that is exports. I think now I'm concentrating on health part of the fisheries, because ultimately health is wealth. So I think let me point out the problems faced and the solutions that we are proposing. Madam, can you start my PPT? Aishi?
Yes, sir, we are doing it.
Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Am I audible, please? Yeah. It's actually, this is water resource systems, right from reservoirs to ponds, tanks, then open water based case culture. What is the production that we are achieving out of all these things? This is only a slide for productivity. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Indian freshwater aquaculture, it's mostly dominated by Indian major carps. Generally, carps are the dominating species in the whole world. But in the case of India, it is Indian major carps, especially dominated by Rohon Katla in the ratio of 10:1. But Pangasius and Tilapia included in the recent years. I think these two are covered by our Dr. Sandana Krishnan. And then illegal culture of pork. This Rupchand is already, it is there in the Indian culture system since the last 7-8 years. But so far, we have not given whether it is an illegal species. Why I am saying illegal is because we have not given permission, but it is being produced in lakhs of tons. I think at least 1.5 lakh tons production is there in the country. I think we have to look into this. Then very little export. Yes, very, very little export, because we need to make use of our 130 crore population, and the fish, as you know, as everybody knows, that it is good for health. So I think it has to be for domestic consumption, because we are already thinking of exporting shrimp. So I think we need to concentrate on domestic consumption. Next slide, please. Yeah, as rightly pointed out by our Joint Secretary Balaji, it is BSF, that is the Border Security Force for a country. Likewise, it is breed, seed, and feed is important things for a culture to be developed and promoted. So it is the quality broodstock, then quality fish seed, then quality fish feed. Of course, policies and implementation is another part. Again, it is once like BSF, it is IMP. It is important short form of IMPs: investment, marketing, and planning. These three again. First three is for culture part. The second three is for to take it forward. That investment part, then marketing, then planning and policies, then regulation of aquaculture practices, strengthening of domestic fish marketing network. Yes, this is the most important, and it is in the IMP. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Already regarding seed quality, we are already facing problems with the existing seeds, probably either by inbreeding or by some other issues. So it is that the main candidate, that is IMC, Rohu, is already showing decreasing trend. Next is fish seeds of poor quality and size are supplied to reservoirs. So many places, because this is again, the country is vast, but the seeds are coming from few states only. Unless we give proper quality and proper size seed is given, then country can prosper as a whole. Unlike coastal, unlike shrimp, it is there in every part of the country. Freshwater fish. Then most states don't have hatchery registration and fish seed certification. This is already covered by many, and no quality monitoring mechanism is there. This has been Andhra Pradesh, in fact, has started fish seed certification, fish feed certification, and fish farm certification registration also. Currently, farmers in Andhra Pradesh are increasing loss in culture of Rohu. They are looking for an alternative fish species. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next.
The presentation is shifted. The presentation is shifted to the next slide, sir.
No, next slide. Okay, I think there is some problem in here. So next, my point is feed. Yeah, this is the space. Actually, shrimp is only Vanamai. So there is a single species, but fish has got different species. So we need to have feeds for species specific, size specific, season specific, because country, southern states have got a different, eastern states, northern states. So the season specific feeds also, because as you know, fish takes the temperature of the surroundings. So we need to have season specific feeds also. This is an important area where once you are talking about feed, fish feed should be of all three. Then published list of ingredients and nutrient composition and feedbacks. Some of our previous speakers are insisting that, about quality of feed. Yes, because unless we have standards and evolve monitoring mechanisms for feed quality, like, laboratories, like otherwise the quality of the fish, it is like quality seed, quality feed is quality fish. If you are not having quality feed, the quality suffers. So we need to concentrate more on feed quality. Again, indicate protein level as digestible or useful protein. It's not like simply marking by protein. If it is not being converted, there's no use in having it. So it's better to have a digestible protein, and that should be indicated on the fish feeds. Then fortified feeds. We are talking so much of fortified feeds, like minerals fortified, vitamins fortified. In fact, the other day, I think 1 week back only, in the case of rice and wheat, fortification with D vitamin has been approved by FAO. Likewise, if there is anything, if it is fortified feeds, yes, it is good for our country, because our country needs nutritious feed, especially for small children. In fact, World Fish has done a wonderful survey and brought out saying that 100,000 days fish for pregnant women, 270 days, and 2 years of child, that is 2 into 365, 730,000 days. So that feed, if you are using fortified, your IQ levels improve, your health goes up, your physical parameters also change, which gives a better healthy India. Next. It is quality fish feed continuation is this. Growth of agriculture sector is growing at 1 to 2%, whereas allied sector is growing at 6%. It is creating a shortage of inputs, not only for fish, poultry, dairy, for all these products. So we need to concentrate on alternative food products also. I think I'll come to this again for alternative food products. As it is now, I think I'm just given a comparison for fish cost and input cost, whereas fish cost has gone up in last 40 years. It is 12.5 times, whereas input costs have gone up by 66%. Next slide, please. Yeah, main important things. Actually, this is an industry requirement since last 30 years. Treating aquaculture on par with agriculture. This is mainly required for power. As directly, I think our Dr. Balaji said, 1 rupee 50 paisa is given by Andhra Pradesh and Orissa, some states. But in some other states, they are charging about 5 to 7 rupees. So unless you have a uniform policy, and if you are treating aquaculture on par with agriculture, you will have a power advantage. Then water. Yes, water is the lifeline for aquaculture. So we need to have good water source, and you have to keep the water also treated water. It's not treated water. For your inputs is a good quality, means your water output is also good. So whatever we are getting as input water, we should leave that water as output so that we get good quality product. Then insurance. Yes. So many speakers have concentrated on finance. Yes, this is a power intensive. We need finance and extension services. For that, we need training. Trained people required. Next, registration of hatcheries and fish seed certification. It's already required. Regulation of fish seed transportation from only registered farms and certified seeds. In fact, cross-border from neighboring states, some species are coming, and we don't know what are the problems associated with them. So we need to be very careful whilst transporting seed, and it should be from registered farms only. Then disease surveillance and adoption of traditional medicine. Yes, disease surveillance is being taken up and it's been done. But the practice and the recent developments in farms, Andhra Pradesh, adoption of traditional medicine. Yes, it's a natural farming. If you are not taking a natural farm, it is only the seed and feed only you need to buy. The rest of the things you can have it from your own side, not even medicine space. Jivamrit is one. Then, of course, Panchagavya, yes, from traditional native cow, it is giving excellent results. Even to control diseases, we are using some vegetable juices and this traditional herbs and fruits, which are even spoiled fruits also can be used, and we are able to control or almost eliminate the disease part. So traditional Indian methods boost the Atmanirbhar Bharat proposal proposed by government. So probably this area is one area where it is a no chemical, no pesticide, no antibiotic, and this process needs to be incentivized as proposed by our Dr. Santana Krishnan. Then National Policy Action Plan for propagation of genetically improved fish seeds. Yes, because this, it is a state-specific, we need to do these carps, tilapia, pangages, scampi, nutrient-rich minor carps. Yeah, new minor carps are again, you need not feed them, but you get them because why? Occupying the total column of the water column. Next is national policy on regulation of feed quality and its monitoring. Yes, this is an important, and we have already covered. It's being done in Andhra Pradesh. Next, introduction of new technologies in breeding, water quality monitoring, artificial intelligence-based technology things. This is another area. Yes, because new technologies are there. So far, though since last 40 years, we are doing aquaculture. As far as freshwater aquaculture is almost graduated from agricultural, but there are equipments, technology outside like IPRS, then case culture, then RAS, biofloc, and associated technological development. We need to what you call is domesticate. In fact, we need to do for our country, not as it is directly improved. I think we need the support of ICR Institute. Next, madam. Next slide, please.
No, maybe if you remember, you can just give the conclusion, sir.
Yeah. So it's almost like, we need to concentrate more on policies. We need to concentrate more on, in fact, I think you asked me 2 questions. I think I'll answer those 2 questions and then go with it. Just in case. Domestic consumers. Yes, sir. Domestic, local marketing is one area. If you are producing, if we have got an ambitious target of producing and almost doubling the national fish production, unless we improve upon markets, we may not be able to, because it is sustainability, profitability, and productivity, all 3 go together. So we need to have a quality product. Quality is quality input and quality output, and then it is the health of the nation. Unless we have, I think we need to do that, right from seeds, hatching, feeds, farm also. Regarding farm, we are going for with a native product. And the last one is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes, aquaculture. Yes, where there are many inputs from the traditional medicines that are available in the country. We can make use of them, and we can make a strong aquaculture, and which can command good price in the market. We are working on that, those lines with government of Andhra Pradesh, government of Odisha, and various states. We are working, and I think this is the thing which I would like to do, because I don't want to cross my time. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for patiently.
Thank you very much for highlighting the issues in freshwater aquaculture, which is very important, producing nearly 50% of fish, and that is required for domestic consumption, for improving the nutrition of domestic consumers. This is very, very important. And I think the idea suggested by Sri Raju will be very useful. So we will now move to the ornamental fish sector. Dr. Atul Kumar Jain will be talking about this. So he is a scientist and entrepreneur who was with the ICR Central Institute of Fisheries Education for quite some time before he established an ornamental fish production facility in Rajasthan. And he has also established an institute where he is imparting training in skill development and train on different aspects. So which is supported by the Skill Development Board and also the National Fisheries Development Board. So I would like to invite Dr. Atul Kumar Jain and the questions. So I thought the questions will appear on the screen, but anyway, I can read out the questions for him. Can you give an overview of the ornamental fish industry? Is it export-oriented or domestic market-oriented? And are there opportunities to indigenously produce inputs for the ornamental fish industry and how to regulate their quality? And thirdly, what is your experience in skill development in this area? Over to Dr. Atul Kumar Jain.
Good evening to everyone. And thank you very much, Dr. Karuna Sagar, for inviting me at this platform. If Ayushi and Dr. Karuna Sagar, if you permit me, I will put on my video. And if it is not interfering, because you know what I'm feeling nowadays with the webinar, there is no direct communication, like there is no direct, we are not meeting physically. So if I put off my video, I feel it will it will make the communication more effective if I'll put on my video. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, and it will be a good video also. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Karuna Sagar. You have put me with some very pertinent questions related to ornamental fisheries development in the country. If I have to give an overview of ornamental fisheries in India, I will divide the development of ornamental fisheries into 3 phases. The first is pre-juvenile, then the juvenile, then the post-juvenile. Why I do so? Pre-juvenile is from independence to the end of 20th century, juvenile from the beginning of 21st century to 2020, and post-juvenile from 2020 onwards. Why I am saying so? Because you see, ornamental fisheries sector in India has basically developed at its own without much institutional support. If you look at the institutional support or any schemes or R&D in this sector from in this sector, up to 2005, there was no any institutional support to the sector. And the sector has developed at its own with the contribution of ornamental fish producers or entrepreneurs. So that was the pre-juvenile stage. Then from 2005 onwards, with the introduction of ornamental fish scheme by MPDA, then there was some impetus given to this sector. Then in 2016, again, NFDB came forward with some schemes to this sector. Then, but you know, that was not much. But in 2020, under the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, this sector has been given a real boost, because a lot of allocations has been made to this. Under PMFSY, about 576 crore rupees has been allocated to this sector. Then again, under World Bank, and another rupees 500 crores are allocated to this sector. And it is targeted that private sector will be spending around rupees 10,000 crores in this sector. So it is like this. And if you look at the domestic trade of aquarium industry, then up to 2000, the total volume of domestic trade was about just rupees 55 crore. But in 2016, or you say presently, it has grown to about 500 crore. And now under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, at the end of this scheme, it is targeted to grow to rupees 5,000 crore. Now, this is the scenario. But if I talk of, I'm not here to give the overview of the ornamental industry because there is very less time allocated. So what I will be doing, I will be just talking about the challenges which the sector is facing and how we can achieve the target which have been allocated in this sector. You see, one important drawback of this sector has been, since long it was being considered that ornamental fish can be produced only in the coastal states. Because of this reason, when MPDA came out with their scheme, they implemented these schemes in the coastal states only. And again, when NFDB came out with certain scheme in 2015-16, they also implemented the scheme in the coastal states only, except 1 or 2 inland states. So that was something that did not allow the development of the ornamental fish production activity in other parts of the country. And that I feel was a major limiting factor. But now under this Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, the scheme is applicable throughout the country. So I feel boost to the entire sector. This, I am very thankful to the Ministry of Fisheries that they have taken this point into this consideration, because since long I have been at many platforms, I have stressed that this scheme should not be limited to coastal states only. It should be open to all parts of the country. And now I feel this will give a boost to the ornamental fish production. Now, another important point, which I feel is very important, when we talk of ornamental fisheries sector, we always think of ornamental fish. And all our schemes were only also limited to production of the ornamental fish. But I would like to inform the House that see, ornamental fish as such is contributing only 20% of the trade. The 63% or 63 to 65% is contributed by aquarium and aquarium accessories. But all our schemes were limited to ornamental fish production. So now, okay, then what is the problem? If aquarium and aquarium accessories are contributing 63 or 65%, then what is the problem? The sector is growing. Yes, there is a problem. The problem is that out of this 63%, 95% is imported from China. So that is the problem. Now, what is happening that if now sometime I feel something I am confused. If I talk of promotion of ornamental fisheries, whether I am earning foreign exchange or if I am losing foreign exchange. Because if this is the situation that 95% of the aquarium and aquarium accessories are contributed by China, then I feel that every time an aquarium is sold, a new hobbyist is born, I am losing about rupees 600 with the every new hobbyist born. So now here is the role of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, what has happened under the current scenario, the availability of these Chinese products has also become a problem. Nowadays, these are not so easily available as these were available earlier because of certain increase in import duty or certain other restrictions. So, but now this is the time that if we have to grow ornamental fish industry, then we have to become Atmanirbhar for producing aquarium and aquarium accessories so that it will grow fast. Why? And this is the time when entire world is looking at India as an alternative to China. Since 2000, we were not in a position to manufacture perhaps these products because for some reason or other. But now, because of the advancement in our industry sector, I feel this is the time that we can definitely start manufacturing these products. And as far as quality of our products is considered, of these products which are used in aquarium, I remember in 2000, there were certain small manufacturers who were manufacturing some like air pumps or filters. And these air pumps were so good that they used to work 24/7 for many years. And if you talk of air pump from China now, they don't work for more than a year. So we can't say that we can't compete in terms of quality. Definitely, now we are in a position that we can produce the quality products. So this is number one. We have to concentrate on producing aquarium and aquarium accessories. Now, another important factor that if we have to grow the industry, then we have to promote the hobby. If we look at the present number of aquarium hobbyists in the country, we are simply the present number of aquarium hobbyists in the country is about 1.25% of the urban household in the country. If we compared to the world developed countries, then in developed countries, it is about 10 to 20%. So you see, so how low it is. So what I feel that why it is so low, why we are having so less number of aquarium hobbyists in the country. What I feel that we are putting very less effort to promote the hobby of ornamental fish keeping. If you go to USA, you go to Europe, or you go to any other developed country, you will find there is a very big public aquarium gallery in most of the major cities. But here, even now, I can say that presently in 2020-21 also, there is not even a single public aquarium gallery which can match the international standards. I am very happy to announce here that maybe in next 2-3 months, there is a very big project which has come up in the country, that is in Ahmedabad. A science city has been constructed. In the science city, there is a large public aquarium gallery has come up, and where the investment has been of the tune of rupees 300 crore. So that will be the first largest aquarium gallery in the world, in the country. So I feel it will definitely boost the hobby of the aquarium fish keeping, aquarium keeping. So I feel then there is definitely requirement of constructing large number of public aquarium galleries in the country, in different parts of the country. It will definitely provide employment to large number of youth in the country, as well as promote the hobby. Once the hobby is promoted, I feel the sector will automatically grow. The ornamental fish sector is growing at a very fast rate in the country. I will give you one simple example. I collected some information. What I feel that the number of aquarium shop is a best indicator of estimating the growth of a ornamental fish industry. So I calculated collected some data and found that in year 2015, the number of aquarium shops in Delhi alone was around 254. In the beginning of 2021, this number has grown to 359. So just in a span of 5 years, it has increased by 50%. From 254, it has grown to 359. I am giving this example of giving an example of all the country because everywhere it is growing. I'll give you another example of the state of UP. In 2015, the number of aquarium shops in the state of UP was just 250, and now at the beginning of 2021, it has grown to above 800. So that is the rate of growth of this sector. So it shows that there is a lot of potential. Then what are the other challenges? Something very disgusting sometimes I feel about this ornamental. When we talk of ornamental fish at many platforms, I have observed that if there is any article or if there is any conversation, it is always started with the statement that the contribution of India to global export of ornamental fish is 0.4%. See, total global trade of ornamental fish is something around $330 US million, and we are contributing around 8.5 crore, just rupees 8.5 crore to this. And it is always said that the contribution of India to international global trade is just less than 0.4%. So sometimes I feel that why I should feel bad about it. If our contribution to this global trade is just 0.4%, then what is wrong into this? See, our domestic market of aquarium trade is as big as the overall global trade of the ornamental fish. See, I am not saying overall global trade of the aquarium, the overall global trade of ornamental fish. That is the size of aquarium industry of India. So why I should not concentrate on the domestic market? I am not saying here that we should not enter into export. We should definitely go towards export also, but we should not be unhappy that we are contributing only 0.4%, and there is a so much scope is there. But from 550 crore now, we have the potential to go to 5,000 crore. We are just the number of aquarium hobbyists is just only 1.25% in our country, and we are a country of 1.3 135 crore people. So there is such a large market is there for us. So this is another problem that we should definitely concentrate on domestic market. When we talk of there is another setback nowadays we are feeling that what is happening that Calcutta and West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, particularly around Havra or some other districts in West Bengal, then some cities, some villages near Chennai, they are the major production center of ornamental fish. But now there are some problems. There has been some issues in the past because of the urbanization. Most of the units has been closed in Calcutta, and the same thing has happened in the Chennai also. The Mumbai used to be one of the major production center of ornamental fish. Once upon a time, about 30 years back, it was one of the very major important center of ornamental fish. But now we don't find any ornamental fish production unit in the Mumbai because of the price of the land. So I think this is something very important, that where we should set up the unit of ornamental fish production. See, if you set up the unit of ornamental fish production into villages, the market accessibility is difficult. And if you set up it in the city, then the cost of land is so high that it doesn't work, it is not viable. So we have to set up the ornamental fish production unit at such a places, and we have to ensure that these units are set up as such a places that they remain functional for a very long time. So when we come back to now another major problem nowadays being faced by the ornamental fish industry, that is the unregulated import. What is happening that once upon a time, import it is a very old list. It has not been correct for too many years. Our imports are import too many of ornamental in the country. If you see the market, you will find that there are more than 800 varieties of ornamental fish are sold in the market, and most of these fishes are of exotic origin. And most of these fishes are the fishes which are not included in the permissible list of the import. Okay, this is one thing that we have to improve the permitted food was what happens, the cost in those countries of regular fish which are kept by the hobbyist is much less than the cost of our country. So fishes are into our market, and most of the imports are pumping into our domestic market. And this is not only affecting our local producers. Along with this fish, large number of diseases are also coming into the country because there is no proper surveillance, there is no proper check at the airports. There is no proper check at the airport, and then all these fishes are coming into the market, and this is causing a serious problem. This is another something we have to see, that we regulate the import so that our domestic ornamental fish breeders are not suffering. When you come to the of the from and leave from the northeast, river and streams of the northeast as well as the western Ghats. Now there has been a problem with this unregulated harvest, that most of the species have become almost endangered, almost they have disappeared. Like one very important example is China burqa. The another important example is Pontius Sahyadria denisoni. Sahyadria denisoni used to contribute about 65% of the total fish exported from India, and now the availability of Sahyadria denisoni is it has become very meager, and we could not develop the commercial production technology of this fish. But at the same time, Indonesia has produced the commercial production technology of this fish, and they are importing it to the entire world. So what? And no, but again, why we are not doing good in the export? Because we are not able to produce the quality fish. Why we are not able to produce the quality fish? Because the size of the ornamental fish production large, we have to set up certain large farms where we produce the ornamental fish for export purpose in the large quantity. And then we have to also ensure that we facilitate the exporters, because exporters have talked to a number of exporters. What is their problem? They say, sir, we are not able to compete with the exporters of the other countries because the freight in our countries are so high that our airlines are charging so high that we cannot compete with them. So this is something that government has to look into. That and something very interesting, that our national carrier Air India is not accepting the live fish for import purpose. They are not accepting it, and if they accept it, their freight is the highest in compared to other airlines. So this is something which is hindering the progress of our export from the country. So there has to be, again, there is need of regulating the export. The another important point which I would like to bring here, what I feel that, what I have observed, that most of the aquarium trader or ornamental fish producers which are presently engaged in the activity, they are neither having a professional qualification in the field of fisheries or any allied subjects, nor they are having a proper experience. So what is happening? Because of this, they are not able to properly guide the aquarium hobbyist. It has been noted that about 40 to 50% of the aquarium hobbyists are closing their aquarium. About 30% of the aquarium hobbyists are closing their aquarium in the first year, and about another 10 to 20% are closing their aquarium in the second year. Why it is so? Because they get disgusted because of the regular mortality of the fish, and our traders are not able to properly guide to the hobbies. Why it is so? Because they are not having the proper knowledge of, if they are not having the proper knowledge, I'm not saying all, there has been so much change in the last 6 or 7 years. I have noted that there has been a lot of change, because as Dr. Karna Sagar told, that we are running a training center, and for last 3-4 years, what I am observing, that most of the educated people are coming to our center for training. We have training from engineering sector, from IT sector, from MBA, and from all the sectors. They are coming to us for training, and these people are going into the field and they are doing the business. So that will definitely bring a change. But what I feel, that there has to be some skill development training for the existing ornamental fish producers.
Thank you.
Supporting skill development program for ornamental fish production. But the program is of 25 days duration. The program which has been identified NSDC, that is a 25 days duration program, and the existing aquarium traders, they are not willing to come to join these programs for such a long duration. So what we have to do, what the Minister of Fisheries is required to do, is we plan a program which is known as recognition of prior learning. And this program could be of very short duration, could be of just 3 or 4 days duration. And these programs will be only offered to the existing aquarium traders as well as to the ornamental fish producers. And this can be a prior learning program. This will help to, clarify their concept, just to tell them what are the ethical practices, what is the science of ornamental fish keeping. Then they will, I think, then they will help to a lot in promoting the ornamental fish industry. I'll take another to Dr. Karna Sagar. Another important point which I would emphasize here is the certification. This has been spoken for other industries also, as well as for the hatchery, for the fish, and for everything. And I think we need certification in the case of ornamental fish industry also. And then how it can be implemented, that we have to give a thought, that how it can be implemented. But there is a need of certification, because when certified ornamental fish farms will be there, when certified aquarium shops will be there, definitely they will supply good product to the hobbyist, and it will help to promote the hobby. Then another important point is the R&D. what I have observed that in last 20 years, there has not been, or not last 20 years, in so many years, I have not seen any very good scheme, any very good research project which has been implemented in any of the institutes which are working on ornamental fisheries. So it is something that there is a high time that, because there are certain issues for like brood stock development, live feed, which has been talked in for shrimp industry. So again, live feed is also a very important field in case of ornamental fish, because the entire brood breeding activity mainly depends on the availability of the live feed. So there has to be some lot of good effort we have to put in for R&D, and there have to be some good projects. I know that one network project is going on in ICR institutes for last 3-4 years, but they have to come out with some good technology. So this is something another area.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Of course.
I want to.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, there are a number of issues, but we have already crossed the time. We were supposed to close at 6, but we are already 15 minutes past 6, and we have 3 more speakers. Anyway, thank you very much for highlighting all the issues. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Nausad Alam from Bangladesh. He is a professor at the Bangladesh Agriculture University, and he has been working on a number of technologies. And the questions to Dr. Alam would be: Bangladesh is making great strides in aquaculture. What are the efforts made in Bangladesh to improve quality and productivity? What, in your views, are the areas that India and Bangladesh can work together to improve aquaculture, fish quality, and safety? So I'll be grateful if you can finish in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good evening to everybody. And first of all, I'd like to thank Udyog Manthan and also Asian Productivity Organization for inviting me and giving me this platform to tell about productivity and quality of fisheries in Bangladesh. So as far as the first question is concerned, I'd like to give some statistics. As you know, in Bangladesh, fish production in 2018 and 19 was 4.3 million metric ton, of which 2.7 million metric ton was in 2008 and 9. So within this decade, about 62.3% production increment was there. The country is ranked 4th in the world in inland capture fisheries production and 5th in aquaculture production. Being a tiny land of 148.5 billion hectare only, Bangladesh seems to be ranked top in the world in seafood production in terms of per unit area of land. Bangladesh is producing 0.3 ton per hectare, while China is 0.7 ton per hectare and India 0.4 ton per hectare. Yearly fish intake in Bangladesh is per capita 23 kilogram against yearly demand of 21.9 kilogram. So fish production is surplus now, and with this surplus fish production, we are just either exporting or adding value. Our popular river shed, Hilsha production increases from 0.2 million metric ton to 0.53 million metric ton in 2018-19, almost 150% increase by a decade. Inland fisheries contribute about 85%, while marine fisheries is contributing 50%, and aquaculture contribution is 57%. Now let us see what are the reasons behind this aqua booming in the country. Almost 90% of the private-owned ponds are brought under scientific aquaculture, except some government-owned ponds. Aquaculture has become a social revolution in rural areas due to mass motivation, as it is very often seen that with a few decimal of homestead land with a single little pond, a farmer can easily thrive upon with his fish only, without support from agriculture or livestock. Skills of farmers and traders have developed much. Huge number of backyard fish hatcheries, fry production and trade, feed manufacture, aquaculture machineries, veterinary drug distribution, aqua support services like counseling, pond treatment, etc. by the private sector and also government sector. And other ancillary activities are quite regular in the villages. Interest and motivation of farmers have contributed more than the government extension services. Innovations also play an important role. Young, educated people have joined fish farming with innovative ideas, capital, and modern technologies. Increment of people's purchasing power further expedite aquaculture. That is, strong domestic market exists. Whatever the price is, for example, a giant freshwater pond or hilsa, it is easily marketed in the domestic market. There are occasions that sometimes due to some export ban or international trade barrier or some other reasons, Macrobacterium rosenbergii was not sold in the American market, but that product were not unsold. That were also sold in the domestic market easily. As far as the productivity improvement is concerned, besides inclusiveness is playing also a very vital role. Since fish farming, traditional processing, etc. have come as family ventures where more women and youths are involved. Women involvement in fisheries education, Bangladesh Civil Service, Department of Fisheries, and Department of Fisheries funded projects were 52%, 39%, 17%, and 31% in 2019 and 20. And involvement of women and other youths are increasing day by day. Government supports like various social safety net programs, for example, 40 kg rice per family in every 20 days during the fishing ban in inland and marine capture fisheries. National Asrayon Prokolpo, leasing cash wetlands to fishermen only under Jal Jar Jalatar program, NGO microcredit, etc. help poor or widowed women and village youth to involve in fisheries activities. GOB launched effective fisheries resource management programs supporting productivity. Presently, 5 types of fishing ban are implementing effectively to protect juvenile hilsa and other fish and mothers. For example, 65-day ban starting from May 20 to July 23 on fishing in the Bay of Bengal, Bangladesh part. 2-month fishing ban in the Sundarban in July and August. 22-day hilsa ban from 9th October to 30th October for mother hilsa fishing ban. And 2-month ban on catching of all sorts of fish in Padma and Meghna rivers in Chatpur from March 1 to April 30 to protect juvenile hilsa. Further, 8-month ban on juvenile hilsa fishing from November 1 to June 30. And all this banning period, the government is supporting to the poor fishermen by different social safety net programs. Our export sector is not much, but still then, fishery export earning increased by 15.8%. By the last decades, it is now $513 million US, but export volume decreased by 28.5%. It was around 1 lakh metric ton in one decade ago, but now it is almost 69,000 metric ton. As far as the quality of the product concerned, we have very specialized fish and shrimp processing and export sector. We have about 150 processing plants, 75 of that are EU approved. We have very classified sanitary and phytosanitary measures, HACCP measures and controls. 4 new accreditation laboratories have been set up with self-certification, equipped with all machineries with self-certification system as approved by the EU. Monitoring, control, and surveillance have been incentivized, and e-traceability is going to launch in both coastal farming and fishing through World Bank projects. So marine IU fishing is minimum and will be reduced further. We have revitalized marine wing and FIQC fish inspection and quality control of Department of Fisheries. More skilled and more number of FIQC staffs are now in place. New 465 quality control officers are going to be appointed in all sub-districts to look after quality of seafood in domestic markets. Before a decade, the government program was also restricted to increase the fish production only. In that time, there was only the export-oriented processing sectors are well taken care of in that time. Government did look after the quality of domestic market. But after that, when production has increased, government has paid a lot of attention for the development of quality in the domestic markets, and now various support services, extension support services from the government and input are going to the domestic markets. Bangladesh Food Safety Authority has been established recently in 2016 to look after food safety and quality issues. Post-harvest loss in fish product reduced by 8 to 10% by a decade. That also helped increased fish production without intensifying fishing and aquaculture efforts. There's a neat sum of 12 to 15,000 crores of Bangladeshi taka per annum saved. Post-harvest loss reduction was made by value addition of low-priced fish. Now price of fish increased by 40 to 50%. For example, in 3-4 years before, our Pangas production was 7 lakh metric ton around, and it was sold in very handsome price in the market. But as soon as the production goes high, and there are some negative propaganda against Pangas and tilapia, so Pangas demand in Pangas, because Pangas is called the poor man's fish, because it is very cheap, 120 taka or 100 taka per kilo. Tilapia is 120 taka or 100 taka. So it is very cheap, and poor men, at least they can take fish every day, at least 1 or 2 meal. But as production increased and production market price fall, most of the Pangas farmers in Mymensingh just dropped their fishing farming. So in that case, the government has taken initiative to add value. So through that programs, a lot of initiatives have been taken, and some value-added products have been developed from Pangas. One problem was that Pangas has got a lot of oil, and oil is very difficult to make stable at room temperature, like Hilsha. And we have been able to develop technology, especially antioxidant from natural sources, because there are chemical antioxidants that can be incorporated, but that is banned by law, by Department of Fisheries and other. So we have been able to develop antioxidants from the natural plant origin, and using that antioxidants, we have been able to stabilize the Hilsha oil and Pangas oil also. Pangas had got some bad smell. So bad smell can be removed also. So this is also one very good point, and we have been able to make so many.
Thank you very much, Professor Alam. I think, it's nice to share Bangladesh experience. Thank you very much. Since we are running out of time, we have to really. Now we'll move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Rajmohan Sundaram. Now he is coming with a very special expertise. He is from IIT Kanpur, and he has founded a company called AquaConnect, which is trying to connect different players within aquaculture and introduce technology. So the questions to Rajmohan would be, can you please explain how data analysis and information technology can improve aquaculture productivity and quality? And what are the technological interventions possible to help farmers procure finance and insurance? Over to Rajmanohar, please.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
You are, yes.
Sure. As one of the few startups in aquaculture sector, I'm really glad to be here among the veterans and express our ideas. So my sincere thanks to Dr. Balaji sir and Quality Council of India for the opportunity. So in my view, production inefficiency and diseases are some of the major challenges for the growth of aquaculture in India. So India's average productivity is about 4 tons per hectare, whereas the Southeast Asian countries are delivering about 2 or 3x higher productivity. So even adoption of simple auto feeders aren't common among Indian farms right now. So unscientific farming practices, inefficient feed usage, and poor disease management practices are the factors that are leading to the lower productivity and quality. So we believe one of the biggest challenges for the growth of this industry is low-tech adoption. So I jokingly tell my industry colleagues that farmers are already using artificial AI. So that is their ancestral intelligence that I meant. So I mean, farmers are used to certain traditional techniques and beliefs that delivered certain results to them. But there are shortcomings too, right? It is time we need to complement their ancestral intelligence with artificial intelligence. So I mean technologies that would really enhance the efficiency, quality of produce, and traceability eventually. So in my view, the biggest impediment for any development is lack of data and lack of data-driven decision-making capabilities. So when we have data, we would have transparency in the value chain. So when you know the challenge exactly, it is easier to identify and work on a solution. So the best place to start would be digitizing the pond data. So that's where we are at right now. So each crop cycle, an aquaculture farmer loses thousands of data points just because it is written on the physical farm ledgers, right? So farmers seldom use the digital platforms to store and analyze the farm level data. This historical farm data possesses potential insights that can help them improve the productivity and overall performance of the farm. So this industry is just not realizing the potential of billions of data points every year that could bring efficiency and other connects like financial access and market linkages and traceability too. So this is a simple technology intervention that can bring sea of change, just automating your farm ledger, right? It can help farmers improving productivity, optimize FCR, get the right unbiased technical advisory, and access to finance and market linkages too. So we started witnessing such technology adoption, bringing rapid detection, real-time reporting, and data-driven decision-making capabilities in Indian farms through our pilots. So technology-driven farming improves our problem-sensing capabilities in the pond environment and animal performance. So identifying the anomalies in the initial stage will help the farmers to take countermeasures. So in my view, these technologies shall unleash the hidden potential of farm data and provide valuable insights to improve the productivity, effective disease management, and cut costs, etc. So every time I talk about these modern technologies like IoT, artificial intelligence to the Indian aquaculture community, I see a bit of disbelief among my industry colleagues, right? It is quite natural that we think it is a fancy technology and it costs a lot. So let me bust that myth. Most of the applications that you use, deploys artificial intelligence in some or the other way. Talk about Facebook, Google, or TikTok that you allow some, AI model to offer. I mean, the application that you are using, they are using some sort of AI model to offer you some services. So do you remember the facial filters that adds, funny nose and a bunny teeth to your face? It uses certain facial recognition models. So that costed you nothing. You just need to have a mobile phone and a mobile internet data. So I'm talking about that low level tech intervention that can be, brought to the agriculture as well as aquaculture sector. So let me apply such use case for aquaculture farmers for disease diagnostics. An image recognition AI model can now assess the health of the animal. All that farmers have to have is the mobile phone and internet data. A farmer can take a picture and send it to the server. Then we shall identify the diseases and anomalies that can provide them advice in real time. So it is a machine that would be providing advice, and it would be much more precise and real time. And thus we can actually democratize the knowledge that is available to only few experts. Imagine that the possibility of building machine learning models based on Dr. Manoj Sharma sir, Santana sir, and Mr. Bala to democratize their sustainable and successful farming practices for the masses. So this is the kind of a wonder that data and machine learning technologies could do for the aquaculture sector. So this is just one use case where how AI or machine learning can be used in aquaculture, and there could be many across the value chain. So I'm talking about the production value chain. Even at the quality in the processing plants, you'll be able to understand many insights when you are deploying such technologies. So agri-tech startups focusing on agriculture practices have over the years gained immense trust among the agriculture farmers, thus making higher adaptability and growing presence. This has not only helped startups in the space to work diligently and bring new innovation, but also has increased farmers' produce and helped them meet the global quality standards. And they also help connect farmers with the buyers, bringing transparency. So, however, the same cannot be said true in aquaculture space yet. So in my view, I believe these are the baby steps we need to take to improve the tech adoption in the sector. So let's bring optimism among our industry colleagues that digital transformation is the way to bring quality and higher productivity. And digital transformation would eventually bring prosperity, transparency, and financial inclusion to this sector. And for that, we need to bring policy level intervention for enabling finance and subsidy to incentivize these technology adoption. So by promoting technology driven farming, we can transform the sector into more resilient, quality conscious, profitable, and a viable livelihood opportunity for the farming community. So now coming to the second question of yours, like how this kind of technology intervention can possibly help the aquaculture sector get the finance and insurance. So at this juncture, the industry stakeholders are operating in silos. So there are these, farmers who are like not keeping any data with themselves, and there are these BFSI players who are like, though this is a billion-dollar opportunity, they are staying away from financing this sector. So there is a huge disconnect between the farmers and the other stakeholders of this ecosystem. On the production front, access to formal credit and insurance is a major concern. On the other side, there are different set of challenges for the banking, financial service providers, and insurance providers to extend their product lines to the aquaculture sector. Even though we are the second largest aquaculture producer in the world, access to the formal credits and loans is completely absent because of the lack of credible data to evaluate someone's creditworthiness and validate the loan portfolios. So more than 90% of the Indian aquaculture farmers, as Bala mentioned, comes from the small and medium-sized farmers. So the absence of formal credit forces them to rely on the informal lenders, such as local retailers, farm input distributors, that he kind of obliged to pay a higher interest, loans. So the same goes with the insurance. Lack of risk mitigation strategies make the insurers stay away from the aquaculture sector. Though aquaculture involves a very high risk than agriculture, unlike agri-farmer, aquaculture farmers have not any option to mitigate the production risks and minimize the losses. So the question here is, can technology bring such, bridge such gap? We believe technology integration at the production level and data science can change the status quo here. The farm level data can be leveraged to create credit profiles and risk scores based on the culture history, farming pattern, disease records, as well as success rates, and etc. etc. So the farm level data not only brings the efficiency to the sector, but the data intelligence also brings transparency in the aquaculture value chain. Thus, BFSI players like banking, financial, as well as financial sector, as well as insurance providers can participate and provide formal lending to the farmers. So we, in our experience, we built a product, AquaCred, that offers aquaculture risk management solution to the banking, financial, and insurance sector stakeholders. So our solution provides a 360-degree comprehensive risk management solution to these stakeholders to offer so that enables them to offer credit and insurance product to the Indian shrimp and fish farmers. So we have been using cutting edge data science as well as remote sensing technologies to transform this financial access to this sector. So with the partnership of major Indian banks and other financial institutions, we are now aiming at disbursing about 200 crores of aquaculture loan in the upcoming financial year. So further, we are working with an insurance broker to enable an aquaculture insurance product that would help farmers to mitigate the losses due to the general as well as disease risks. Such technology solutions shall eventually make farmers bankable while simultaneously helping banks to achieve their public sector lending targets with lower non-performing assets. On the production front, this would unleash the aquaculture sector's growth by allowing for the utilization of neglected land resources, inducing entrepreneurships among rural population, and provide sustainable livelihood opportunities for the fish and shrimp farmers in India. So with that, I would close my remark. I would love to take more questions in the chat window. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Of course, you are a pioneer in this area because you have introduced the new concept of introducing data analysis to improve farming. And I'm sure this is in line with the concept of digital India. So we are utilizing more and more data and evidence-based management. So I think it will be very useful for the farmers to utilize these kind of services to improve productivity and quality also, and also avail other services. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to invite Dr. Abraham, A.V. Abraham, who is from SGS. So he has a PhD from the Central Institute of Brackish-Water Aquaculture, and he has been in the laboratory analytical field for quite some time, managing large laboratories, accredited laboratory. And the question to Dr. Abraham would be, how testing laboratories like yours can help aquaculture sector improve quality and market access? And we realize that testing alone will not be adequate to help aquaculture sector over issues like antibiotic residues. Do you have other services that can help farmers overcome this problem? Over to Dr. Abraham.
Thank you, Dr. Karnasagar, for the introduction, and good evening to all of you. I'm mindful about the time, so I shall try to keep my answers as within the 10-minute time limit. So coming to your first question, how testing laboratories like SGS can help the aquaculture sector improve and increase the market access. Now, as it was said in the beginning itself, India ranks second in the global aquaculture production, and laboratories play a very significant role in this. Every product that gets produced is subjected to a series of chemical, physical, and microbiological testing before they are released to the market. Laboratories help in ensuring the safety of the product as well as quality of the product by providing the right analytical solution based on the requirement of the various segments of the aquaculture industry. Now, what are the requirements of the various segments of this industry? Now, the aquaculture feed industry needs to produce the right product in terms of nutrition value, microbiological safety, chemical safety, and the hatcheries need to ensure that the quality of the shrimps or fish through selective breeding. Hatcheries and farms need to have a proper monitoring of the water quality and the inputs that are used in the farms or in the hatcheries. The processors, again, required to provide a chemically safe and biologically safe product, and also a product that meets the quality requirements of the importing countries or the buyer requirements. It could be size, it could be odor, taste, appearance, color, and other sensory or physical attributes. Apart from these requirements, apart from mandatory antibiotic or clinical testing, and there's a requirement for, I think there's a background noise. Apart from, as I mentioned, apart from the mandatory antibiotic or heavy metal testing or pesticide testing, there are requirements for checking the presence of GMOs or species identification, toxins, and even environmental pollutants like dioxins. Now, to improve the market access, India needs to create a brand image for the Indian aquaculture products. And with this brand image, we need to change the perception that the European, Chinese, or American markets have on products from India. Now, as a responsible laboratory, SGS provides solutions from farm to fork. We keep ourselves updated with the latest technologies and offer analytical solutions to the industry, be it chemical, be it microbiological, sensory, or physical, and in compliance to the local and international regulations that govern these analysis. Now, our labs are equipped with latest technology, mass spectrometers, to provide accurate testing of both targeted and non-targeted antibiotic or veterinary drug residues that can find its way into the aquaculture products. We also provide DNA-based next-generation sequences for species identification, pathogen screening, let it be in water, let it be in the field, and also adulteration. We also provide electronic eye, nose, and tongue tools for consistent and uniform analysis of sensory attributes, let it be color, let it be taste, let it be odor. We also provide solutions for the shelf life products which go into the retail shops. Now, the problem that the industry faces is mainly the rejections. Rejections either during the exports or even before the exports. Although I can say that the government bodies like MPDA and Export Inspection Council with diligent mechanisms have brought down the border rejections with their various monitoring programs. As it was also said during the call by some of the speakers that the rejections are less than 0.2%. In 2020, in Europe, there were only 4 consignments of shrimps that were rejected because of the presence of antibiotic residues. Now the problem with this rejections is that even if there is one rejection, it gives a wrong perception in the market that Indian shrimps are contaminated. Now, India is a country where the coastline is almost 8,500 kilometers, and we have almost 1.6 lakh hectares of shrimp farms. And the capacity is to increase this to 5 times. Now, for the government alone to monitor these farms, it's a tedious task and it's not possible. So if the government is able to outsource this to labs like SGS, who have presence across the country and is able to invest in technology, then a cost-effective quality monitoring to help the industry and make aquaculture products safe and meet quality standards, and also provide traceability, as well as help them to run a sustainable aquaculture business is possible. And this, if this is done, this could change the perception the foreign market has over the Indian aquaculture products. This would boost exports and encourage more farms and related industries to come up. The aquaculture industry, if more emphasis is given to ensure products are consistent quality, in my opinion, could contribute at least 3 to 4 times more to the GDP than it currently does. Now, coming to the next question, where it was asked whether testing alone is sufficient to curb the antibiotics problem, and does SGS have other services that can minimize this. Now, as I mentioned before, the problem from use of antibiotics is twofold. It comes from pre-shipment detections, which restrict exports, and any border rejections, which tarnishes the image of Indian aquaculture industry. SGS is the world's leading testing, inspection, certification, and verification company. SGS can offer a wide range of solutions covering the entire supply chain
assisting farmers, processors, traders, and retailers. Now, these antibiotics come into use to, especially when farmers or hatcheries use them to prevent mortality and promote growth. The use can be indirect when the farmer does not realize that the inputs or the growth promoters or health boosters that he adds could be containing the non-intended drugs. Now, how can SGS help? We can offer training and development programs to create awareness amongst the farmers or the hatchery owners. In case where antibiotics are detected, SGS can support in root cause analysis, covering the hatcheries, the field, the farms, the ponds, the dosage frequency, if some sort of growth promoters or health boosters are added. We can also address challenges which come from human or equipment, which are human or equipment related. Apart from that, we also provide services through a team of scientists who can support investigative studies and using our wide technology base both in India and abroad, and this can provide solutions to the various problems that the aquaculture industry is facing. Now, one way to curb the problem of antibiotic usage is to develop disease-tolerant variety of shrimps of fish. Now, we can provide DNA-based next-generation sequencing solutions to look for molecular data from the shrimp, the seeds, the water, and also we can provide studies on functional feeds to develop disease-tolerant shrimp of fish. Another areas where we can support is overall pond or farm management, thereby controlling the possibility of any wrong practices. Now, we also provide various certification services like BAP, ASC, MSc, and also perform retailer-based audits, which brings a system-based control over the whole process and supply chain. Now, just as the speaker before me mentioned about technology, SGS also provides two technology platforms, digital platforms. One is called Transparency One. And in Transparency One, we help you to discover, analyze, and monitor all suppliers, ingredients, and facilities in your supply chain, helping you to build customer trust. And we have a second platform known as DigiComply, and it helps you to simplify compliance through where you can get all information about various regulations under this platform. Sir, I hope I've answered both questions.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining how technology and services, laboratory services like yours, which has an international reputation, can help building the image and providing the necessary services to the industry. Thank you very much. Now, of course, we come to the end of the speakers. Of course, NFDB Executive Director, Mr. Eragal is there, but he said in view of the shortage of time, he suggested that we ask Dr. Balaji to make some remarks since he has been there listening to all the speakers, and he is driving the policy and programs from the government side. Maybe he will have some inputs to provide in response to all the issues raised by the speakers. Dr. Balaji, sir.
Sorry, I just missed your point. Can you kindly repeat?
No, I was saying, of course, since you have been listening to all the speakers and all the issues that they have raised, you may have something to say in the end to conclude how the policies that are...
I have several things I have noted down, but the time is also running out. Perhaps what my request would be to all the speakers is they can send 2 key points, what their recommendations, which they like, that which government should implement, so that if they can email, so that we can make it as a recommendations of this particular event, rather that will be better. so that we can have a focused the webinar results, because so that we can actionable points within 3-4 months, we can complete actions on that. So suppose I can see around 95 people today, participants. Suppose all the 95 people can share 1 or 2 key recommendations for the sectoral recommendation based on their rich experience, so that we can make some around 50-60 recommendations of the sector. And we in the Ministry of Fishery, some may be interministerial in nature, some may be of the department in nature, some may be with the state government, some may be possible, some may not be even possible also. So we like to try to include as far as possible, and we can also come out with some good recommendations and actionable timelines. That is important, because we know several issues are there, but we have to have a clarity. So we can also divide it. I think DPIIT can discuss with fisheries offline and try to, phase this. Some are short term in nature, some are medium term, and some are long term. Suppose if you say I'll establish a nucleus breeding center, in my understanding, before I retire, there will not come any results out of it. That is why we may require. So a nucleus breeding center in India, it may take 15 years before a genetic improvement program, NBC, will materialize. For example, in case of Sempida monodon, 15 years the work is going on. So we cannot make recommendations which don't yield results in short term. So we have to be very mindful of this. So we in the Fishery Ministry has an ambitious targets of around 70 lakhs fish production, and we want to have a productivity of 5 tons. Some of the worthy speakers were also saying that whether we should decrease our production, but this is against what the ministry's thought process is. We want, like Ilyas Sethji has said, that we should double the production. One side again, the thought process is we should decrease the production and concentrate more on quality issues rather than quantity. So, but let me be very clear. If China can produce 700 and plus 50 lakh tons of fish, we have more arable area. We have an EZ at par or higher, bigger than China, but we are only one fifth of the production. So somewhere we have to find, because I agree scientifically there are issues and challenges. Maybe the sector has to rise to that. If you have to take really to the next level, we just cannot say we'll do some 5 lakh ton production, 6 lakh production. Yes, we did good job. I'm not denying it. But somewhere, if you look at Chinese experience, I saw that in last 20 years they took off. That is what the internationally, what the feeler we get when we enter WTO or anything. Everywhere, everybody is talking of the China story, success story, and all that. Now the success story is so large, everybody also are pouncing on China to see they control that, this thing. Many issues are there. That is beyond the scope of today's discussion. But what my limited point is that we have to think big. Unless we don't think big, at the same time proper regulatory enabling framework is not there, I think we'll miss the bus. Countries still like Ecuador, like my colleagues were saying, Ecuador has already crossed us. So and then if we do not do something good, because let me be very clear, 40% of the production, one estimate is saying that it comes from inland areas beyond 2 kilometers, especially the sea, where absolutely there is no regulatory framework. Andhra only is the government, and recently they bought out the regulatory framework within that inland areas, hinterland and all that. Now, one question I want to ask, in fact, I wanted to ask when Mr. Ilyas was there. I have been asking for several years. Every time we complain of antibiotic, what every shrimp exported out to the world goes through a processing plant. Do we agree? Then when the processing plants can have a good control, you spend 30 crores, 20, 40 crores to have a good processing plant, why there is an antibiotic residue at all? It's not that somebody is just like that sending out the shrimp, nobody checked here. Every consignment, whatever the processing plant is procuring from the aggregator or directly from farmer, they all know the chain. Today, let us, the processor take a decision. I shall not purchase any shrimp which fails, because his reputation is at stake, his business is at stake, country's interests are at stake, country's reputation is at stake. So there is a problem here. Instead, every time we complain, farmer ye kar raha hai, wo kar raha hai, usko pakdo, isko pakdo. No, that doesn't work. To catch it, what do you do? To catch a rats in the home, you will plug the loop, the entry. Please plug that at the processing plant. The whole problem is a processing plant, in my personal view. In fact, official view, I'm telling. So the processing plant should have a good quality control laboratory attached. And no processing plant without this shall be allowed by the MPDA to export. That's it. Solved problem. Then automatically people will fall in place, aggregator fall in place. Today when there is a glut, everybody will say, if there is a huge market, some of the processing plants are ready to buy from whosoever provides the shrimp. If you go into the complete analysis of the failed stocks, what action has been taken from government? Now I am requesting MPDA, I have been requesting CAA to act on them. Why somebody has to act from outside? So let us act ourselves. So this is the point which my recommendation to the sector is, there is no problem of the antibiotic maybe 0.02%. But what did the processing plant? Kitna processing plant पर कार्रवाई हुआ? What action has been taken? हम लोग है ना, we find request saying that हमारा 10 प्लांट को डीनोटिफाई किया, ब्लैक लिस्ट किया, उसको रीलिस्ट करवाइए, आप लोग डिप्लोमेटिक चैनल में टेकअप किए, बोलते रहता है. बट इन हाउस में हम लोग इंडिया में क्या एक्शन लिया उनका ऊपर? So these are some of the hard questions to be answered. So my request is that what support government will provide for the processing plant. Generally what happened, if you look at my Matsya Sampada Yojana, I didn't have included any processing plant support. There is a reason for that. We have more capacities than required, it seems, in the shrimp side. And government should not promote where it is not required. Government is ready to promote for controls, regulatory framework, like we are ready to help in traceability, we are ready to help in controls. Suppose somebody, one boy, a youth, a girl want to put up a unit, like a laboratory. It is where the assurance is there. The continuous supply from the processing plant is there for the samples. They also can do that. Support we can extend. So my request to the processing plant and Ilyas Ji and even some of the recommendations, my only single recommendation for today is, let the processing plant do proper monitoring of the shrimp, what they are selling. There will not be any antibiotic, because the farmer is gullible. So because today in the country, these inputs, there is no way you can control, because it requires, there is a very, very nebulous loss. So somebody say FSSI will do, somebody else is telling drug controller will do, somebody will tell the Department of Fishery will do. Like that it is going on and on. This is just tu my type chal raha hai. Still such time you have a proper regulatory framework, there is a need for processing plant to identify the aggregator from where they are taking, who are doing the shrimps, why shrimp is first antibiotic come, everybody knows. I request that this should be the one decision, that processing plant shall ensure that they shall not buy any of the shrimp which is coming from their unknown sources or the regulator or aggregator they are doing. This is the only suggestion I have. The rest I have, some of them I have noted, some I might have missed. Farm certification is very important. Ornamental fisheries, as Mr. Jain has said, we have already done some work. We are open to any ideas further. In fact, we have Honorable Minister has announced an ornamental park even in Goa during his recent visit. We are ready to put mini parks, and I request DPIIT to look at the one key issue. The aquarium industry, there is a need for import substitution. There is a need for incentivizing the aquarium industry accessories. Unless we do not do this, everything comes from China and outside world. Somewhere we are missing. So this is one thing, the way we have to work urgently, so that the states also we talk, the industries also we are talking to the industry departments with the states. Perhaps they can be a joint workshop, because the aquaculture sector also and the fisheries, there are a lot of spin-off industries and a lot of back-end industries. For example, cage cultivation, fabrication industries in cage cultivation. Now we have an ambitious task of putting several lakhs of cages we are looking in the marine side and the inland side. So there will be huge investments will come in the fabrication industry in the cage. So cages. These all things, there is an opportunity which we have to see. Suppose we want to modernize the fishing fleets. I'm happy that the shipping ministry of port, shipping and waterways, we are working with them to identify the dedicated harbors where rather ship building yards for fishermen. So that is also one thing we are looking. I'm happy to say that they have identified 4 prototypes, much better than what we give as the deep sea fishing vessels. Perhaps that is also one new things which can retain up to -80s also. That will address some of the concerns on the quality of the marine fish. There are low cost vessels. We are coming out with the protocols. We are ready with the SOPs for the fishing industry. Fish, what sort of fishing vessel SOP? They are on my table. We are examining that. We will also discuss with the stakeholders and we'll try to bring out through the Ministry of Shipping. So the lot of farm registration, yes, is a top priority. I can tell you that today also my secretary has reviewed the Coastal Aquaculture Authority for 2 hours. So one single decision we took in the afternoon was by end of the March, we have to commit online. We have to come the coastal registration should be online. We are actively considering to demystify the processes. Whether the collector level committee should be there, whether there can be multiple committees, why should only collector be there? These are not there in the Act. Whatever is not there in the Act, I can promise you by end of March, we will reform it. And I won't tell in an open meeting, we want to throw out. I should not use the word like that. So wherever it is required, we should keep a law. Wherever it is not required, we have to do the ease of regulation. So our priority is we'll have multiple committees. If at all a chota Tahsildar level committee, yes, okay. But the point is everything should be time bound, and we are also working on removal of that regulation. If required 5, I don't believe in renewals. Renewal is there in the Act, so our hands are tied. But I can promise you we have an agenda by September, July, August, September to reform the Act itself. We'll bring in an Act to say it is an auto regulation like Andhra has done. They said once registered for lifelong registration. So why should there be a renewal? Renewal creates rent seeking. Renewal creates harassment. We should be very careful on all this. So where we should be, where we should have a standards. We can have a committee to monitor standards. As and when we have put a system in place, the rigorous system should be rigorous. If something, when you are giving a free hand to put up a aqua farm, you have a lifelong registration. If somebody violates, then the action should be strict. I'll tell you, the Coastal Aquaculture Authority said 3 months, 3 years imprisonment. Not a single person has been imprisoned in since its existence. Not a single case has been registered. So why should we have such an act which cannot function? Why should we have why should we have an imprisonment of 3 years when you can't imprison anybody? So these are the things we are working on it. I can tell you that within a March or so, many of things will be demystified. By August, many things will be gone. That's how we are looking at. And as far as the aquaculture is concerned, yes, there is a need for SOPs in the inland areas. We are also talking to the state governments, and we are be very fast coming out with these SOPs, how to go about the donations they are talking of. Many things are required. So I think I will on registration settlement, hatcheries accreditation. In a year time, we want to make it 100% accredited. Matsya Sampada, we are ready to give small support to even a rich hatchery man. But my purpose is that we want it to be 100% accredited. We should certify the hatcheries. Our plan is there should not be any seed coming out from the non-certified sources. Maybe in a timeline we are working on that. That is also one very high priority for us. So we can look at anything which the industry wants, whatever is possible. We can assure you that in a time-bound manner, we will completely do it. Today's meeting, in fact, and I thought this meeting will be more on an investment side. We are ready to encourage FDI. We also have a project development cell created recently with the support of DPIIT in our ministry. Their youngsters have joined, very bright guys. So these all are ready to do for investment promotion. If any good investments are there in the mainly on the aquaculture side, we are ready to open for the good investments also. So I just don't want to go much beyond this, and I am very grateful that a lot of speakers spoke very nicely, and a lot of things. I also have to compliment our the young boy, rather CEO of AquaConnect. They are doing an extremely good job. They are the new ideas have come in. So and we are open for startups. In the Matsya Sampada, we are ready to support startups. Yesterday, last week, NFDB advertised asking for entrepreneurs to come with entrepreneur projects. We are ready to support them. All startup challenge we are going to do with Invest India. Maybe next 3-4 months, we already took approvals on files and we'll be launching. So many things are happening at the same time. So let us hope that this workshop will rather, I should not say work, rather I should say it is Udyog Manthan. And I'm very happy that DPIIT has brought a lot of people, the who's who of the industry here, and industry, farmers, representatives, and youth also. So we can really work together. And seaweed is also a top priority for us. We'll be working with on the seaweed on a mission mode. And let us hope that we will do. At the end of the day, the farmer should get the benefit. That is a yardstick. How do you, whether the farmer incomes are increasing, whether youth is joining the sector or not, how much we have improved on that. These are the key parameters. At the same time, sustainability, because the scientists in us always talks of sustainability, because the capture fisheries are finite resources. We just cannot expect them to function like an agriculture, where you can till the land and you can get more and more crop. But here we have a lot of issues on the marine side, especially on the inland capture fisheries side. We are very mindful of that. We have brought out a new fisheries policy. Have a look at that. If any inputs are there, I'll be welcome. We have good reports. We have also criticism. All will be there. We are open for that. The more we are criticized, the better we come out. So that is also is there. So with these few words, sir, thank you for inviting me, and I think over to you for the concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, sir, for offering so many solutions and also informing the industry about the forthcoming plans of the government and many of the things that we can expect to see in the next days. I'm sure the industry will welcome all these measures that the government is taking, which will facilitate improving production, productivity, improving quality, safety. Thank you very much. And I would also like to thank all the speakers for giving all your inputs. And your rich experience, I'm sure, will contribute greatly to contribute a lot of ideas that will help the sector develop more. And there is and Dr. Balaji said, of course, he welcomes suggestions, he welcomes criticism. That's a very good scenario where, of course, the government is asking for ideas and then acting on that. So I think it will help the industry a lot. I thank all of you, and I thank QCI, and have a nice evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Balaji,
Thank
sir.
you so much,
It was
sir.
wonderful listening to you, sir.
Right. So before giving the formal vote of thanks, I would request.
Thank you, everybody.
Sirs, I would request all the speakers to kindly switch on their camera for a photograph. Right.
Thank you, Ayushi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Karna Sagar, sir, for steering the deliberations so well and for summarizing the discussion. I would also like to extend our gratitude to Dr. J. Balaji for gracing this session with his presence and for setting up the context for the session. I would also like to thank our illustrious panelists for deliberating on the issues of quality and productivity in this industry. I request all the experts to spare some time and provide recommendations and suggestions in the template shared with you, as this would help in creating a compendium of quality-related sectoral recommendations, which will be shared with the ministry as well. Furthermore, I would also like to thank all the attendees for being such a fantastic audience. And here I conclude the session. Goodbye and have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Dr. Balaji, thank you, sir.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward
Thank
to
you.
the
Thanks
farm
all of you
regulations,
for
sir.
your time. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Karna Sagar, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Karna Sagar, sir. It was a wonderful session.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye, Manoj.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.